This story tells of humanity's incredible struggle against demonic creatures who came to destroy and kill. As a result of this war, everyone around has died, and even the one who is called the strongest warrior of mankind is close to death. He destroyed all the 7th rank monsters, but even this incredible feat is not enough to win the war. Monsters appeared in the Guvan obelisk at 8 in the morning. Unfortunately, no one could have predicted this. Humanity did not even suspect the power of these demons, and that is why it was unable to restrain their powerful and cruel onslaught. Now, this 8th rank demon is preparing to destroy the strongest representative of the human race. He killed a huge number of these monsters, probably because of this they always dreamed of tearing him to pieces. It seemed that all this was finally over and death had come, but our main character had no idea that this was just the beginning. He opened his eyes and saw that he was in some unknown building surrounded by a large number of men and women. It wasn't like a dream at all, but he was really still alive and now in a completely different body. He became much younger and ended up in the city of Helotsi. It's hard to believe, but now a new fate awaits him. The 3rd captain of the Helotsi, Xiaodan, met with the young warriors to tell them something important. He wants them to understand what real war means and what the path of a warrior should be. One day, in the year 3069, 6 huge obelisks of Guan fell from the sky, and from that day on, the earth was doomed to destruction. Huge creatures emerged from these obelisks, which people began to call demons. These creatures came to mercilessly kill all living things around them. This battle almost led to the complete destruction of humanity, but then a way was found to fight the demons. This legendary technique was called crossbreeding, because it uses the core of a demon that is transferred to a human and gives extraordinary abilities. 60 years ago, humanity's greatest and strongest warrior, Aang, was a true hero to humanity. He led human warriors behind him and was never afraid of demons or difficult battles, which is why he was called the true hope for the land. His attack on the demons continued for several weeks, causing even the entire sky to turn black. As a result of this legendary battle, humanity was able to repel the attack of demons and 60 years of silence followed. Aang, who had turned into a young man, listened and could not believe that 60 years had really passed since his last battle. Dan said that during this battle they lost a huge number of great and important warriors. It was especially difficult to come to terms with the loss of Aang's strongest warrior, because he was the one who always gave hope for a happy future. If those warriors had not given their lives for humanity, the earth would be destroyed by now, so they must be remembered, even 60 years later. The new young generation must actively train, protect people, and give them hope. Now they must understand what it means to be a warrior. The captain saw that one of the young students was not listening to him very carefully and decided to approach him for shelter. It seems like this guy doesn't understand at all what it means to be a true hero for humanity. The captain asked him to give his name, but the guy is not sure if it would be right to reveal his real name. It could lead to problems. It is unlikely that anyone will be able to believe that he is the real Aang who has moved 60 years into the future. A little later, it turned out that his name was already written on his clothes, so now there was no point in hiding it. The guy paid for his carelessness very quickly. The captain does not forgive any mistakes. Now Aang is in a weak body and can't even dodge an attack. This is a new reality and he will have to get used to it. During the upcoming warrior test, the captain will be watching him very closely, so Aang must become stronger. Dan ordered all the students to go to the testing site, as their physical strength would now be tested. Aang missed a really hard punch from the captain. It resulted in a knockout, but everything will be fine with our hero. One of the cadets immediately approached him. His name is Lan. This guy is kind and always helps everyone around him. When everyone around him found out that this weak boy's name was Aang, they were unhappy that he dared to take the name of such a legendary warrior. A young girl named Situ Liu especially didn't like it. She believes that such names should not be given to weak worms, and can't understand why everyone around him hates him, even though he hasn't done anything wrong. Liu is one of the strongest cadets in the group. She is also called the Princess of the Nesmian, the most famous martial arts clan of the Halasi. By the time Lan had time to get up with her new friend, they had already managed to take a picture of them, because this is a truly beautiful example of male friendship. This young girl's name is Sui Ju. She asked to ignore her and continue. Photo. She probably sees this friendly help from a completely different perspective. These girls always get everything wrong. Let's move on to the location of the physical test. Almost all the students have already gathered at the stadium. Ying is confident that even with such a body, he will still be the strongest, because his experience and strength are on a completely different level. The guy is confident that he will be able to demonstrate incredible may be expelled. Although this weakling's results turned out to be too weak, the captain decided to give him the opportunity to participate in the second stage of the test. He is sure that after the second stage, Aang will decide to leave the training on his own initiative, so it is only a matter of time. The second stage of the physical test will begin soon, where the body's compatibility with the crossbreeding technique will be tested. Aang realized that he had a chance. 60 years ago, he had a better level of synchronization, about 96%. Physically, this body is too weak, but synchronization is on a completely different level. It depends on willpower. Everyone around him makes fun of him, but now he is confident that he will be able to take advantage of this chance and show what the best level of synchronization in history looks like. Soon, the students put on special costumes and began the synchronization process. The best result so far was achieved by Situ Liu, who showed 39% synchronization. Everyone around was sure that this girl's result would be the best this year. Everyone knows that the results of martial arts clans are on a completely different level, especially when it comes to the Nesmian princess. Everyone around always dreamed of starting to date her. You could say she's a real superstar. Situ Liu has been training a lot since childhood. She is a very beautiful and talented girl with a great future ahead of her. Few people know that she is very pleased to have a huge number of supporters and to make a positive impression on other cadets. Aang knows that a strong body also has a strong character, but he doesn't think about others because he's focused on his own skills. During the test, many cadets encountered the crossing technique for the first time and felt real pain. When you go through the crossing for the first time, the body becomes very tense and the person has to withstand the true power of the demon. Some people cannot withstand such a test and immediately give up. They should not be judged, because this is a really difficult task. In order to pass this test, you need to get at least 10% synchronization. The results of some cadets were a real surprise. For example, Sui Ju scored 30% synchronization. This result surprised many. So this time among the cadets, there are some talents who have every chance of becoming real warriors. 6 cadets have already reached a high level of synchronization, which means that this group is much stronger than the previous one. Aang has not yet passed this test, but now it is his turn, and he wants to show the captain that he was underestimated for no reason. Everyone around continued to laugh. They were sure that this little worm would again prove too weak for the test. Aang, on the other hand, was incredibly focused and ready to surprise the whole world again, as in his past life. The guy chose the red core, and it was time to talk a little about the demon cores that warriors receive on the battlefield. These cores are divided into 6 types. Among them, there are 4 cores that have the strongest indicators: the red, yellow, green, and blue core. The red core gives strength, the yellow core gives protection, the green core has healing properties, and the blue core can increase speed. The purple core is responsible for the skill of controlling illusions, and the black core is the rarest. It gives the ability to control space and time. The synchronization process has been launched. Aang knows that willpower is the most important characteristic for a warrior, and therefore has no doubt about his success. Willpower can determine what load a person can withstand during the synchronization process with the demon's core. The crossbreeding has begun. Now everyone around will finally understand whether he is really as weak as he seems, or whether this guy has hidden potential. Situ Liu was in the lounge, and at that moment she saw an extremely bright red light. Aang turned to all the people around and ordered them to look at him, because he wanted to show the level of synchronization of the strongest warrior. Everyone was really surprised and expected his result, although few believed that this guy could surprise anyone. It was clear from the very beginning that he was doomed to success, as Aang reached the 40% level in just a few seconds. His level of synchronization continued to increase. He was sure that there was no limit to it. In order to show an incredible result, you will have to endure severe pain. But for this guy, it is not a terrible test at all. In his past life, he was used to pain. So today, it is not a problem for him at all. Captain Dan watched the test and couldn't believe that all this was really happening. It seemed like some kind of mistake. This seems like a system error, because the guy who failed all the physical tests is now showing incredible results. Aang tried to demonstrate all his capabilities, but at that moment he began to lose consciousness from overload. He realized that something strange was starting to happen. All his energy was disappearing somewhere. Very quickly he realized that his body could not withstand such a load, and it was time to stop. His synchronization level dropped very quickly to 10%, a small result compared to what it was a few seconds ago. The captain was informed that a broken demon core had been found. Perhaps because of this, the readings were incorrect. In any case, 10% synchronization is enough to successfully pass the test, so Aang ended up among the best cadets. Next to the boy was his new friend Lan again, but now he didn't understand anything at all because it was too much for his body. Everyone was watching him closely. Even though his result wasn't the best, it all looked very strange. After completing the test, Aang came to the restroom. He was tired. It felt as if all the energy had been sucked out of his body. This is strange, because this has never happened before. It is obvious that with his current willpower, he could have shown a much better result. Even the worst demon cores shouldn't break, but during the test, his core was broken. Soon, Captain Dan entered the room, ordering all the students to stand up and greet him and his colleagues. He soon congratulated all the cadets who had made it to the final stage of the test, and explained that this would be a practical task. They will have to face a demon for the first time in their lives, so everyone must prepare for a real war. Aang still can't regain his energy. He looks incredibly tired and upset. He was still able to find some energy and go with the other cadets to the next building. In its place remained a fragment of the demon's core. The experienced Captain Dan could not help but notice this. With each passing day, he becomes more and more interested in solving the mystery of this weak but very unpredictable boy. Soon, when all the cadets gathered in one place, the city doors were open. Some of them are leaving the city for the first time in their lives. They don't even know what to expect. Aang is also surprised that after 60 years, all people live in such hidden cities. Probably these are forced measures for survival. He was given a new core, but he doesn't think that's the problem, because the moment his energy disappeared, he felt his soul abandon the demon core. Maybe all this happened because of time travel, but it doesn't matter now, because even stranger things are starting to take effect. As soon as Aang left the city, everything around him began to look like a black and white space. He very quickly saw a cave in front of him in which a very powerful demon was sitting. This demon started talking. He couldn't believe that there was a demon in the world who was stronger than him. The guy couldn't believe that he had actually seen a real monster. It felt like something inside his soul had changed. He doesn't have time to think about it now, because he and the other cadets are off to their third test. Very quickly, the cadets began to be divided into groups, strangely enough, but Aang will have interesting company. He will have to work with the rather strange girl Sui Ju, the talented Situ Liu, and his new friend Lan. It will be difficult for them to find a common language with a talented representative of a martial arts school, but they have no other choice. If they don't work as a team, they could soon have serious problems. The obelisk of dispersion is a black obelisk built of stone. This stone is made of a special material that disperses fog. The third stage had begun, and the first group was already ready for decisive action. Various spectators gathered here, such as the captain of the second detachment of Heluzi City, Dada Jiao. She came to look after Situ Liu from the Situ clan. Also here is the captain of the first squad of the city of Helots, a guy named Joel. He is also interested in young talents. Our old friend Captain Dan believes that we should pay attention not only to Situ Liu, because there is another interesting character. He means Aang. Although this guy looks pretty weak, he is very strange, and that is why he is interesting. The captain personally inspected the core that was broken during the second stage test, and made sure that there were no problems with the core. This means that this guy may be hiding a lot of interesting things, and you should watch him closely. For the safety of the cadets, experienced warriors spent several days watching to ensure that there were no strong demons near the city of Helotsi. But if they appear, strong captains can intervene and protect the young warriors. Soon it's time for our main character's team to take the test, all of them ready to do the impossible. Situ Liu immediately grabbed the fog-dispersing device and ran forward. She wants everyone to follow her as if she is the team captain. Of course, with such a character, it is difficult to be a true leader. But now they have no choice, and they must act in harmony as a single mechanism. Although Situ Liu has a green health core, she moves as if she had a speed core. Very quickly, the fog around was dispersed, and the young cadets met real demons for the first time. The battle was begun, and strangely enough, it was Lan who began to demonstrate his talents best of all. He not only successfully destroyed demons, but also managed to give advice to all other team members. You have to admit that in the first minutes of the battle, they look like Avengers. It's nice to watch. Although these demons are only at the lower ranks of evolution, they are still large and strong, so they are not easy to defeat. Joel watched the girls especially closely. Captain Dan reminded him that they were too young for him. Situ Liu tried to demonstrate that it was not for nothing that all the captains of the city of Hiloka were watching her. She wanted to live up to their expectations. This girl learned a lot at the Situ Martial Arts School, so today she is happy to demonstrate it in practice. Her technique is almost perfectly honed, and she fights with the true grace of a wild pussy. Although Aang seems weak at first glance, in real battle conditions he was able to prove himself quite well. The explosive power of this weak body is really not impressive, but with experience you can defeat even stronger enemies. With each new minute of the battle, he felt more and more confident in his own abilities, and he really likes it. His team watched with open mouths as he fought the monsters. It seemed as if he was playing with them like little children. Even experienced captains noticed the strength of this thin guy and noted his leadership qualities. It's not just about his strength, but also how he moves, because that's a sign of experience. Of course, there are also disadvantages. In this body, he cannot use skills from the past, and besides, after each attack, he starts to suffocate. In any case, his strength would be enough to complete his own ordeal, so he prepared to deliver the final blow. It seemed that everything would end now. But suddenly something more terrible than this monster appeared around. An unknown creature killed a lower-ranking demon and tore it into several pieces. This is no joke at all, and ordinary young cadets should not be fighting something so powerful. Captain Dan was shocked by what he saw. He immediately realized that the children needed to be saved. It is unclear how, but they were attacked by a first-rank demon, and now everyone must flee. It was for this reason that experienced warriors were invited to this test. Their time of glory had come. Captain Dada asked the cadets to calm down and not panic. They should feel safe around her. The demon approached the cadet team and said that he could feel the demon's energy. He looked carefully at each of them and tried to understand which of them was hiding their true face. This weak body will definitely not be able to destroy such a strong monster. This is the first time Aang feels true fear. Only now did he understand what emotions ordinary warriors feel when faced with something so powerful. The demon raised his hand and activated extraordinary abilities against the group of these young cadets. Within a few seconds, they all lost consciousness and fell to the ground, which is what the difference in levels means. Soon the captains appeared, ready to do everything possible to save the children. The captains tried to catch up, but the demon took the cadets with him into the dungeon. We had to go in search of the students, starting from the traces left behind by the demon. After several hours of searching, it became clear that the tracks were ending. And now, this was the main problem. Captain Dan checked everything for several days, but did not notice the presence of a first-rank demon, which seems to be a real lack of professionalism. Something like this has never happened before, but everything in this life has a first time. Soon, Captain Dan received all the information and was saddened when he realized that the monster's traces had disappeared. The demon has gone too deep underground. They don't know what awaits them there, so it's too dangerous to go there without support. Upon touching the ground, Captain Dan saw a scene from his past, as if he were experiencing those unpleasant emotions again. This immediately angered him even more, and he hit the ground very hard. Probably the captain understands that this is all his fault. He should have noticed the threat but was too inattentive, and because of this, the cadets were in mortal danger. Nobody wanted this to happen, but we'll have to return to the city and then send a reconnaissance group here. Captain Dan asked his partners to return to the city, while he would stay here and continue the search. They asked him to return to the city before sunset, because if he didn't, everything could end in a real disaster. They understood that Dan was taking a big risk, but they couldn't hold him back, so they trusted his experience. Everyone knows that his younger brother was killed by a demon in his childhood, and because of this, Dan constantly blamed himself for this situation. If his brother had survived then, he would be the same age as these cadets now, so they remind him of his brother. Moving on to the dungeon, it was only after a few hours that the cadets opened their eyes and began to understand what was happening. Aang quickly guessed that they were underground. He was glad to see that they were all still alive. Although they are still breathing, it seems that it won't be for long, because the demon is right next to them. The demon approached Aang and greeted him. He felt that the boy was very different from the others. He wants to understand why he smells like a demon. He's just a weak guy, but it seems like he's stronger than a monster. Aang doesn't understand at all what this demon means. It seems that he has lost his mind because of his thirst for murder. At that moment, some incredible power within the boy was unleashed and forced the demon to retreat. This helped break the chains and free ourselves. Now a real spectacle awaits us. Although the first-rank monster is much stronger than this guy's body, he must fight to save his comrades. In a past life, this battle lasted only a few seconds, but now the outcome may be unpredictable. This is a first-rank demon with a red core. It is quite fast, flexible, and has a high reaction speed. This doesn't mean he's completely invincible, because his joints aren't protected by strong armor at all, which means he has weak points. Aang approached the monster and prepared for battle, but it turned out that he had overestimated his capabilities. He immediately suffered a serious injury to his left shoulder, but on the other hand, there is now minimal distance between them. This gives you the opportunity to attack your opponent's weaknesses and try to win this fight no matter what. It was a mistake to underestimate the guy, because in the past, he had destroyed a huge number of first-rank demons. Now the monster lost its right arm, but did not give up and dealt a powerful blow to Aang. The guy hit his head very hard and for a while lost understanding of what was happening. The demon is surprised that people know his weaknesses, but he is like a tree. His core is a hybrid of red and wood. Within a few seconds, everything was fine with his hand, and Aang realized that his plan had not worked. Only demons with a green core can repair their damage. It seems that over 60 years demons have learned to evolve. With one wave of his hand, he forced the boy to come closer to him. You can call it magic, you can call it superpowers, but either way, it works. The monster still can't figure out what's wrong with this guy. His demon energy is too strong. Aang is visibly upset. He looks at his comrades and realizes that they are all doomed to death. At such a difficult moment, he immediately remembers his friends from his past life, who also died fighting alongside him. The demon felt that the boy was weak, so it was better to eat him. Maybe at least this would give him the opportunity to solve his riddle. At this moment, Aang decided to demonstrate everything he was capable of in order to make the final leap towards life. His demon core was broken, but all of this was done in order to make one last attempt to survive. He would never have thought that he would have to use his last strength for something like this. Aang has begun the process of transformation. He is no longer human at all, but some kind of creature that looks like a demon. This transformation process was really very large-scale. No one around understood what was happening. A little later, he turned into an 8th-rank demon, who said that he was the strongest of all monsters in the world, meaning that he was the demon king. The 1st-rank demon couldn't believe his own eyes. He had never heard of the king before. It had been like that until today, but now he knelt down and acknowledged the most powerful being on Earth. The 8th-rank demon, the king of monsters, is called Chi, and now he has reappeared in this world. In parallel with these events, Captain Dan did not stop and continued to desperately search for the cadets. He did not stop at any danger and destroyed every monster that stood in his way. They all wanted to taste his flesh, but now all his thoughts were connected with the lost cadets. Memories are needed for this. Ordinary demons will have to kill each other for the evolution process, while Aang will have to engage in absorbing higher-ranking demons. If he masters demonic memories, he will begin the process of evolution, which is his gift from the Demon King. This 1st-rank demon will be an opportunity for Aang to awaken his demonic memories. For this, Chi did everything possible and hopes that the guy will not disappoint him in the future. He wants the boy to gradually reach the 8th rank and then he can be free from sleep. Their bodies are joined together, and with the help of the king, Aang will be able to regain his memories. The process was started. The boy remembered the last minutes of the battle of his past life. Then he talked to his assistant and assured him that everything would end well no matter what. His assistant replied that they all died, but only Aang survived, and they want to understand why this happened. It was at this moment that Aang opened his eyes and realized that he had been asleep all this time, so it was just a dream. When he woke up, he saw all the members of his team around him. They were nearby and greeted him. Suiju can't understand what happened to Aang's hair. Did he really manage to get highlights? Their conversation was interrupted by Captain Dan, who entered the room. He came not alone, but together with other captains. They all want to hear what happened in the cave where she is, and understand what led to such a critical situation. Soon they were told that the legendary Captain Dan had brought them back here. Without him, they would have been dead long ago. He found them unconscious near the entrance to the cave. The demon was not nearby. Otherwise, they would not have been able to turn back. All the other team members said they didn't remember anything. Only Aang had been unconscious for so long and had also changed his appearance. It all seems too strange. He himself doesn't understand why his hair color has changed. The last thing he remembers is the attack of a demon in a cave. Everything that happened next is a mystery to him. He's not sure he needs to talk about time travel. No one will believe him, so he'll have to come up with something else. The guy said he lost consciousness and remembered almost nothing, although the captain expected to hear more. In the cave, he found huge traces of blood on the walls, so it's clear that something very interesting was happening there. After that, Captain Joel approached Aang. He had already seen the results of the test and noticed that Aang behaved coolly in the battle with the demon. It seems like he's fought demons before, because usually young cadets fight in a completely different way. And he immediately started to worry and assured me that he had only read books about battles with monsters, independently collecting and analyzing the weaknesses of his opponents. After that, he began to ask about the 3rd test and try to understand whether the result was satisfactory. Suiju said that now he has become a warrior, and they will be on the same team, although it is not a fact that this is good news. Surely this ordeal has brought them together, and now they have been united into one common team. They have already fallen behind the other teams because everyone has to score points and complete tasks. While Aang was unconscious, his team did nothing, so they still have 0 points, and this needs to be fixed urgently. Soon they put on their new costumes and prepared to go on their first mission. To begin with, the captain congratulated them on becoming real warriors, a special day for every young cadet. Now he will become their captain. He has 9 teams in total, and he hopes that they will become the best. There is now a rating for junior squads. They must score the maximum number of points and increase their rating. They have 8 opponents in total. By completing different tasks, you can get different numbers of points depending on the level of difficulty. Every month, the second captains select the best teams to participate in team duels and fight for first place. The last team will be punished for their failures. These warriors will be forced to clean the streets of the city as punishment. Now it's clear why everything is so clean. This is the order of warriors. Competition always gives rise to development. Demons are constantly evolving, so humans have no right to stand still. Situ Liu will be the leader of their team because she scored the most points and has leadership qualities. Now they can look at the available tasks and start the hard work, of course, paying attention to the ratings of other teams. After that, the captain said goodbye to the soldiers and wished them good luck. Now they must act independently. Suiyu said that they completely forgot about the important thing, taking the first official team photo. Although the team leader was, as always, dissatisfied, they still decided to take this photo as a keepsake. Meanwhile, the city's experienced captains discussed the situation that had befallen the cadets. The first-ranked demon was never found. Although a huge amount of blood was visible on the walls of the cave, it's unlikely that 4 children could have done this, but Aang is a very strange guy, and Dan suspects him. Intuition tells me that something is wrong with this guy. He smells familiar. Captain Dada is sure that her friend is thinking too much. The main thing is that the children returned safe and sound. Everything else is unimportant. Soon the team found themselves in the city center near the task board, and they saw that they had many options before them. You can choose from 3 tasks of the highest level, and completing these missions earns you 10 points. The problem is that performing the highest level tasks would be too difficult, dangerous, and risky, because in such cases emergencies often occur. Nevertheless, the team leader, Situ Liu, said that they are ready to take on the responsibility and pass the most difficult test. Everyone was ready and immediately set off to meet the adventure. Soon these young warriors would encounter real danger. They must be ready to go through real hell in order to take first place in the ranking. The suits they received had a large number of additional features, such as wings, weapons, and additional protection. It's always nice to see great progress in recent years. Now fighting monsters is much easier than before. They soon found their first target. 2 lower-ranking demons nearby, and they must be destroyed. Situ Liu said that they must complete this task on the first try, and the team sprang into action. If they really want to complete the 3 highest-level tasks, they have no right to waste much time fighting these weaklings. The team leader tried to control the actions of her comrades. She constantly gave orders and controlled the course of the fight. The plan was quite simple. The warriors decided to first injure the monster's joints in order to reduce their flexibility and speed. After that, you will be able to deliver powerful blows and try to destroy the wounded opponent. The final blow was decided by Situ Liu, who always wants to do the most interesting work. The monsters were overwhelmed by their toxins and soon exploded. It was not only spectacular but also effective. Although everyone was satisfied with the completed task, they noticed that in reality the battle with monsters was more difficult than during training. After the monsters exploded, they left a red core that you can take with you. They have just completed the task of dispelling the fog outside the city and now must choose a new mission. To do this, they have several options. They can find and capture 3 lower-rank demons or collect 10 demon cores. Situ Liu said that they should hurry up, complete all the A-class tasks, and thereby break ahead in the team rankings. Aang used to think his heart was made of iron, but now he feels real warmth and love when working with these people. He said they had to hurry and suggested they complete one more task before sunset. Thus, they set out in search of new adventures and soon encountered new monsters. Thanks to good teamwork and coordinated support for each other, they easily destroyed several more monsters. To do this, they used tranquilizer bullets, although the supply of bullets was almost exhausted. This is also a product of nanotechnology, a tranquilizer gun. It is ideal even for beginners. The demons they have now captured are unconscious. Many years ago, Aang could only achieve such a result after a difficult battle, but now it is easy. After the monsters have fallen asleep, you can begin the transportation process. It should also be reminded that all warriors must return to the city before sunset. Otherwise, they will be severely punished. The decision was made to return home and deal with transporting the monsters later, but at that moment, someone intervened. They didn't even suspect that they were not alone at all. It turned out that there was an enemy team next to them. They are unhappy that these newcomers took all the A-class tasks and now they want revenge. This is the squad that Captain Dan took under his command. They are also called snipers. In simple terms, they are the predecessors of this team, one of 9 other squads. They don't like that new warriors don't know the local rules and don't show respect for experienced fighters. To take on the task, one must first consult with the older warriors, but the youth did not do so. Situ Liu realized that now was her golden time to demonstrate her leadership qualities. She ran forward to attack these impudent scumbags and show them who the real warrior is. Lan and Suiju intervened and tried to calm their friend down, because she was really wrong in this situation. At this moment, everyone around completely forgot about the fourth member of their team, Aang. This guy seized the moment, instantly approached his opponent and delivered a powerful kick with his right foot. This one punch was enough to knock down the captain of the enemy team. No one had ever seen such impudence from a young man. Aang's team members were shocked. Only Situ Lu was pleased that he intervened and protected her honor. The captain of the enemy team was incredibly angry with Aang because of what happened. He said that now he would teach these children to respect their elders. His sniper team immediately prepared for a fierce battle and drew their weapons. Judging by the reaction of young people, they are also ready to fight and disregard authority. It seemed that a real infinity war would begin now, but at that moment Captain Dan intervened in the situation. He felt that the teams should not be allowed to fight each other and therefore came to stop the conflict. He wants to explain to these fools that they could become a snack for demons if they don't return to the city before sunset. The captain soon learned that the young team was performing Class A tasks. Situ Lu said that they almost completed the task, and then they were hindered by snipers. Now everything has become clear. This is a common conflict of interest between the young and the experienced generation. They have to resolve this situation on their own, and everything is allowed here except killing each other. Every city has its own rules because when they become professional warriors, even more dangerous situations will await them. Captain Dan intervenes not because he doesn't like this conflict, but because the sun will soon set over the horizon. The captain turned to the snipers and said that he was ashamed of them, because the newcomers not only took away their mission, but also beat them during the battle. The captain of the experienced team decided to ask the name of the guy who hit him. He learned that his name was Aang, and began to laugh because this fool named himself after the strongest warrior of mankind. The snipers promised to do everything possible to teach newcomers a lesson in the future. Snipers may not be the strongest squad in the city, but they are quite smart and work as a real team. They will do whatever it takes to get revenge, especially their captain, who specializes in high-ranking weapons. This captain's name is Laos, and he hasn't yet shown all his strengths during the battle, but that may happen in the future. The newcomers must prepare for the upcoming meeting with him and now return to the city. Finally, Situ Liu approached Aang and thanked him for his support. She likes it when someone acts so relaxed. Although all the team members had already planned to rest, Aang decided that tonight he would find 3 demons in order to complete the mission. The team returned to the city on time with the captain, as it was too dangerous to go outside the city after sunset. It seems that Aang is completely oblivious to the danger. He has already prepared to continue his hunt. He knows that the city gates are very well guarded, and no one is allowed to go beyond their boundaries. In the past, everyone didn't care about day or night. Sometimes they even deliberately decided to walk at night because demons were very easy to find at that time. He is confident that he will be able to find 3 demons very easily with the help of his experience and overtake the snipers in the team ranking. This self-confident guy didn't even suspect that Situ Liu was standing next to him all this time, watching him. She scared him very much. He was sure that everyone was already asleep at this time of day. Aang said he went out for a walk after dinner, but of course no one would believe him. Later, he said that he wanted to surprise his team tomorrow, and to do this, he would complete the task at night. At first, he was sure that the girl would tell the captain about all this, but it turned out that she was ready to go hunting with him. She already wants to hear the plan of action and is sure that they will have a great time together. When Aang realized she wasn't kidding, he started planning an escape from the city, and to do that, he had to get past the guards. It turned out that the city doors were left open intentionally, because there was an episode with young men a few years ago. They were fleeing from the monsters, but due to the closed doors, they did not have time to enter the city limits, and therefore were destroyed. Now, in almost every city, gates are not closed completely so that in case of danger, people can save their lives. Usually, the security guards don't pay any attention to what's happening at the gate. They like to eat, sleep, and look at various adult magazines. Usually, they can be understood because only a real lunatic would decide to go for a walk outside the city at night. As it turned out, there were 2 such psychos, and they decided to go for a walk at the same time. At night, the fog was even thicker than during the day, but that didn't stop them from reaching their destination very quickly. You need to stay away from the city walls to remain unnoticed. The dead forest is the perfect cover. Aang wants to lure demons to him so that Situ Liu can destroy them with her blows. The girl was surprised, although he looked confident. Going into the forest alone was a real disaster. She was visibly nervous, but tried to stay focused in order to help her friend at any moment. The way Aang is able to lure demons to himself really surprised her. You can really feel his great experience in his actions. And it seemed that this method of luring demons to oneself seemed original and interesting. Soon they were attacking monsters together and acting like a real super duo. Under Aang's command, these two seemed to be playing with lower-ranking demons and demonstrated all their talents in practice. Everything went almost perfectly. They found and destroyed the monsters very quickly. Of course, searching for demons this way still required a great deal of physical strength, but they were prepared for it. It was decided to come tomorrow and take these demon bodies with us to the city. All the main work had already been done. It seemed that the worst was behind them, but soon they heard a terrible voice in the tree. It turned out that these were two more demons who came because they smelled the sweet smell of human blood. These are first-rate demons, and Aang did not expect to encounter them alone in the forest, because that could be a real problem. Meanwhile, experienced captains returned to the city after a night walk. They learned about the first-rank demon and ordered the guards to turn on the spotlights. The news that a first-rank demon had been found again spread very quickly, making everyone very nervous and scared. There were actually two demons, the same monsters that Aang and Situ Liu encountered. They began to approach the city, so an alarm was declared, and after that they prepared weapons for defense. Only at the last moment did the captains see that there were still people outside the city, so it was absolutely impossible to close the gates. Upon closer inspection, it became clear that these were two young disciples of Captain Dan, and next to them were three bodies of lower-ranking monsters. The captain soon realized that the students wanted to complete the tasks they had received earlier at night. Of course, this is absurd behavior that deserves severe punishment, but first they need to be saved. The captain said he would cut off the heads of these two students, unless of course the monsters beat him to it. Now, Aang and Situ Liu are truly in mortal danger because they are being attacked by two first-rank demons at once. The slightest loss of concentration can cost your life, as these demons are extremely dangerous. They sense that Aang smells like a demon, so they decide to kill the girl first. It is unlikely that they will be able to do this, because Situ Liu can protect herself from any fan. She had never had to deal with such ugly guys before, but today's situation would be a lesson for her. They were very lucky that experienced warriors from the city came to their aid very quickly. Meanwhile, Captain Joel ordered the guards to stop firing their weapons because they might injure their partners. It was soon reported that radar had spotted a huge number of lower-ranking demons, all of them approaching the city. This is a real wave of demons that can destroy the walls of the fortress and enter inside, and then a real catastrophe will begin. The decision must be made as quickly as possible, but the fate of a large number of people depends on this decision. It was decided to declare an alarm and prepare all soldiers in the city for combat readiness. This must be done as quickly as possible. The warriors in the forest still cannot return to the city because one of the demons has captured Situ Liu and is not letting her go from her chains. She has to be left here, but the captains are not going to leave their students to their own devices. The monsters immediately began attacking the experienced warriors, but paid no attention to Aang. He couldn't understand why no one was attacking him. It was as if the demons considered him a member of their team. Captain Dan noticed this too, but he didn't have time to analyze the situation right now. He asked Aang not to attack the monsters and to stay in a safe place for his own safety. These were the right words of an experienced warrior. But Aang cannot abandon his girlfriend. He must save her. He can't leave her alone and lose her, just like he lost his partners in a past life. One of the demons took the girl with him deep into the forest, probably wanting to make a tasty snack out of her. First-rank demons have always been interested in what emotions people feel before death. They like to see fear in people's eyes. He ordered the girl to beg for salvation. He likes to hear pleading, so he is a real pervert. He opened Situ Liu's mouth and repeated his order, but this girl was not born to pray for salvation. She was born into a martial arts clan and was taught there to never bow her head to the enemy. She is ready to die at his nasty paws unless of course he wants to fight her again. She doesn't understand at all that he took her with him only to lure her to something more interesting, like Aang. Soon the boy appeared and ordered the ugly monster to release the hostage, otherwise he would regret it. She was pleasantly surprised that Aang had come to save her, but the problem was that he hadn't called for reinforcements. Very quickly, the demon approached his main target and said that they would all die today. Aang completely disagrees with these words, which is why he took out his weapon and began attacking the monster. The demon chose him because of his smell. Aang smells just like other monsters, and it's very interesting. Over the past half-century, demons have evolved and developed many powerful abilities, making them very difficult to fight now. Also, don't forget that Aang is in the body of a weak guy and cannot fully demonstrate his talents. He tried his best and attacked his opponent from different sides, but the first-rank demon was too strong. He easily defended against the guy's attacks and delivered his own well-aimed counterattacks. After these blows, it seemed that all of Aang's internal organs were destroyed. They begged for rest, but there was no time for that now. The demon decided to kill him first, and only then eat him, frying him like a kebab. It was a good idea, but he completely forgot that he had left Situ Lu unattended. This girl needs to be watched very carefully because she only needs a few seconds to break free from any chains. The monster said he was ready to start dinner and activated all his extraordinary abilities. Of course, you can defend yourself against any attack, but the problem is that there are a huge number of these attacks, and a young body is not prepared for them. Very quickly, Situ Lu lost her balance and did not have time to dodge the blue demonic chains. One mistake could cost her her life, and now all that remains is to believe in a real miracle. He not only wants to kill her, but also to tear her into several pieces first and make her scream for help. Meanwhile, Aang could not find the strength to get up. He was once again forced to watch as his team members died. A true irony of fate. Nothing has changed. He can hardly be called the strongest warrior if he can't save even one girl. All these emotions made him so angry that strange things started happening around him again. His demonic nature began to awaken, and the demon could not help but notice it. Very quickly, Aang got to his feet, found additional strength in himself, and snatched Situ Liu's body from the demon's hands. She has done a great job as captain of the young team, but now she needs to rest. Aang must do the main work because this demon deserves to be destroyed. With every passing minute, the boy becomes stronger and stronger. He feels that his strength is ready to tear him to pieces from the inside. His inner core of power changed. It became similar to the core of a demon king. The awakening process has begun. He has taken on a form with a fin and is now ready to take revenge on the monster. At this moment, Captain Dada and Captain Dan continued to fight the first-rank monster. At that moment, this demon felt an incredible aura around him. His head began to spin, and he forgot about his rivals. A minimal loss of concentration was enough to miss an incredibly powerful blow to the jaw from Captain Dan. Dada also demonstrated her talents and showed why she is called the Red Death. They sent the demon high into the sky where it became a perfect target for the city's weapons. It was a very technical job, and now there is one less demon in this world. The defense of the city continued. The monsters approached the fortress walls, but experienced warriors tried to stop them. It was hard to do, but Captain Joel desperately led a detachment of Hilosi warriors. There are too many monsters. It seems that with every minute there are more and more of them. Dada suggested returning to the city, but Dan cannot leave the young warriors to their fate. She reminded them that first and foremost they were warriors of the city and should think about the fortress walls, so the decision was made to return to the Holoka. Meanwhile, the first-rank demon was trying to understand what kind of creature was standing in front of him. Was it a human or another demon? This is the first time he sees a human grow a fin. It's a real demonic thing. Only now did Aang begin to realize that the purpose of his reincarnation was to gain demonic power to change the world. With his skills, he can easily heal Situ Liu. All her injuries heal in a few minutes. He has poor memory of what happened in the last minutes of his past life, possibly due to the fact that he absorbed a first-rank demon. If he absorbs the monster in front of him, he can become even stronger, and that's a good idea. Something incredible is really happening to this young man, and it's becoming more and more interesting to watch. We witness the true rebirth of a demon of rank 1 in a human body. He very quickly absorbed the core of the first-rank demon tree and became like a devil. For the first time in my life, I've seen a demon so scared as he is now, it's even funny. Aang wants this monster to hit him with all his strength. He wants to test his own instincts. By absorbing the wood demon, he can use various wood energy techniques. It turned out that it's not very difficult. Everything can be done with the power of thought and inner core. He decided to perform a splitting technique and destroy the monster, but this nasty mutant wasn't going to die so quickly. I haven't learned to control demonic power perfectly, but that's only temporary. He is the strongest warrior in human history, and his training abilities are incredibly high. He just needs to keep practicing using demonic power, and then he will succeed. With each passing minute, he gains a better understanding of his body's capabilities, which gives him an extraordinary advantage. Very quickly, he seized the initiative and destroyed his opponent. There could only be one winner in this battle. All that remains is to take its core and absorb all the energy of this monster. This will make our main character even stronger and more energetic. Now the demon's thoughts fill his entire consciousness. He liked the taste of the demon core. After that, he turned his attention to Situ Liu. A struggle began in his mind. The demon spoke to the boy and ordered him to eat the girl. The decision was made very quickly, and Aang prepared to kill his partner. Only at the last moment did his consciousness awaken, and he was able to stop his hand. This internal struggle is akin to schizophrenia, but there is no better explanation for his actions right now. He is trying to win the fight against the demon in his head. The most important thing is that he succeeds, because his willpower is extremely powerful. In parallel, the battle near the city fortress continued. The warriors tried to destroy the maximum number of monsters. Lan and Suijue also fought and defended their city. They couldn't understand why we other teammates weren't helping them. There were more and more monsters, and we should also not forget that the energy of the warriors' cores constantly runs out during active battles. The more active the battle, the more they will lose energy, which will lead to a decrease in the power of their attacks. One can only hope that they can stop the monsters before their energy runs out. To do this, you need to try as much as possible to make the monsters afraid and run away. Otherwise, death awaits them all. The captains decided to demonstrate their crown skills in order to distract the monsters from the other warriors and give them a chance to rest. Overloading the red core is the biggest problem. The other cores recover much faster. The young warriors watched with delight as the captains fought. It was the first time they had seen such a large-scale battle. They were lucky enough to observe the power of warriors who unleashed the potential of their demon core. And in the future, they too will be able to do so. The captain's tactics work. Now other warriors can help them again. If everything continues at the same pace, the demons will soon retreat from the fortress walls. Soon they saw something strange. A bright light flashed behind the demon army. It seemed like it was some powerful demon, but it turned out to be Aang carrying Situ Liu in his arms. The captains couldn't believe their eyes. It seemed like a dream because this couldn't be real. The most interesting thing was not that they saw their student, but that the demons scattered in different directions and did not touch the boy. Soon, the monsters opened their mouths and prepared to bite off the heads of these delicious shrimp. It seemed that now Aang and Situ Liu were doomed to a cruel death, and nothing would help them. At the last moment, the boy turned his head, looked at the monsters, and ordered them to get out of his sight. Of course, they were shocked by such impudent behavior from the man, but there was an incredible aura around him. Within seconds, one of the monsters turned around and began to flee into the forest. Soon, all the other demons followed his example and returned to their own territory. Thus, the wave of demons retreated from the fortress and now poses no threat to ordinary people. The warriors began to celebrate their victory, although almost no one understood exactly how they managed to win. Only the captains tried to understand the reason for the demons' behavior. They began to suspect that all this could have happened because of Aang, because there was no other option. Approaching the city walls, the boy fell to the ground, lost consciousness, and let his partner go. He plunged into an imaginary world and found himself one-on-one with a demon. He is sure that this demon is enjoying his own power, which he received 60 years ago. Then his past life ended, and he never learned that this Red King's name was Akira. He is the strongest of all demon kings, a true titan in the monster world. Akira assured him that he wasn't going to hurt the guy, he needed him for the future. These demons became several. They began to talk among themselves and discuss this sweet and delicious body. Now this body belongs to them, and for the sake of their common safety, Aang must develop his physical abilities and spiritual capabilities. After that, he will become the perfect vessel for the demon's spirit, and this monster will be able to realize all of its secret desires. These words angered the guy. He said that he was not going to do anything for the dark forces and would destroy them right now. At that moment, his dream ended. He opened his eyes and found himself in the real world. He did it in time, because a little more, and he would have hit his girlfriend in the face, which would have turned into an unpleasant situation. His hand accidentally pulled her clothes apart and he saw something he shouldn't have seen. At first it seemed to him that this was another dream, but then it became obvious that this was reality. Situ Liu had to turn away from this pervert, just a little more, and she would have been forced to hit him hard on the head. Soon, respected martial arts masters entered the room and everyone immediately stood up to greet them. Aang could not believe his eyes when he saw this tall and strong man before him. Captain Joel immediately explained that in front of them was the master of the famous Situ martial arts master family. His name was Situ Hong. This is his teammate's father, and apparently he took care of them while they were unconscious, so he should say hello. Hong smiled and thanked the guy for saving his daughter. If it weren't for Aang, Situ Liu would have died. That's why tonight he invites everyone to his home to relax a bit and celebrate his triumph in the battle with the demons. All three captains grew up under the careful supervision of this experienced man, and that is why they have a good relationship. He admits that his daughter must be punished for her behavior, and the captain will have to punish her. After that, the three captains of the city of Hiloshi invited Aang to talk. He has too many questions. Starting with the final test of the warriors, one-horned demons began to appear constantly. After that, this demonic wave appeared, and it seems like Aang has something to do with it all. If Aang is really a demon, he should tell the leaders of this city right now. The guy immediately started laughing out loud and said that he couldn't even theoretically be a demon. Of course, it's hard for him to believe because Aang and Situ Liu somehow miraculously escaped death in a battle with such strong opponents. It seems like Aang might be working for the demons and that's why they keep him alive every time. Now the guy must decide whether to reveal his secret to them or not, because there is always the risk of death because of the truth. It's unlikely they'll believe his true story, so it's better to come up with something else. Yes, the real Demon King really lives there, but that doesn't mean you have to tell everyone about it. Captain Joel began to threaten that if he did not hear the truth, he would have to use force. It's hard to believe that now he will have to fight an experienced captain, although otherwise problems cannot be avoided. The boy was very lucky that Dada intervened and asked Joel to calm down. She explained that it was wrong to insult children. Only demons with 4 horns can take on human form, so it's unlikely to be a demon. In addition, demons do not save their comrades. They do not know what true friendship is and behave in the most selfish way possible. Ang saved Situ Liu, so Captain Dan can't believe that this guy is really a demon. Of course, this changes a lot, but he has to explain what happened during the battle in the forest. Could he really defeat the one-horned demon without support? The guy smiled and replied that he was actually a genius and that's why he managed to do it. He is able to overload his core for a while and extract the maximum amount of power from it, so he becomes stronger and can defeat the demon. This is something like a combined attack of the captains. They also use a similar technique. It's not a fact that they will believe his story, but it sounds quite realistic. If everything he said is true, then it explains why the core in his body was damaged in the past. This means that this guy is truly a young genius, and his potential is even difficult to determine. They need to see what he's capable of with their own eyes, and they better do it right now. Soon, everyone went outside so that Aang could demonstrate his talents in practice. Captain Dan wants to feel this guy's strength, otherwise he won't be able to trust him. In this sparring match, he is not going to give the guy a head start, but on the contrary, he plans to attack him at full power. Aang didn't have time to come up with a battle strategy, but was already forced to defend himself in order to save his life. With the first blow, the captain almost tore his head off, which is not the kind of attitude you expect from your teacher. The boy's reflexes turned out to be truly extraordinary, but that's not enough to be called a genius. Aang has a problem. Apart from experience, he has almost nothing, because this body is still too weak. A strong and experienced captain could easily break his spine, so you have to use your mind. This body is too weak, and in order to win the fight, you need to find a smart solution. In his past life, everyone called him king, so he is used to respect and doesn't like being treated like a worm. He will have to prove his genius in practice. Reincarnation poses a new challenge, so you can't constantly measure everything by the standards of your past life. If you take a little demonic power from your soul, it might be enough to defeat the captain. His past can inspire future achievements. This plan is simple, but at the same time ingenious. Now Captain Dan will realize that he is dealing with a truly unusual guy, and it is better not to joke with him. After using the demon's power, synchronization with the core immediately increases. This reveals additional opportunities and hidden talents in the boy. This is the first time the captains have seen such rapid progress in such a short period of time, and it is now clear that they have a real talent in front of them. Aang quickly approached Dan and dealt him a powerful blow that the captain could not dodge. This was just a warm-up. The most interesting things are ahead for the captain. With the help of increased flexibility, the guy was able to deliver a powerful kick, something like Kung Fu. Even the legendary Situ Hong came to watch this fight. He said that the guy is doing everything right, and he is really very talented. Captain Dan knows Hong well, having trained him in martial arts since childhood. This man was like that from his early years. If he was given a chance to counterattack, he always took it. If he grabs his opponent, he will never let go. There is no doubt about that. It's always been like this, but today history will change because the captain is faced with a real devil. 2 true titans of martial arts met before our eyes, but only one can emerge victorious. Headbutting is not considered a prohibited technique. On the contrary, it is a trick that must be used at the right moment. This allows you to distract your opponent and seize the initiative for a while. Just a few seconds of advantage is enough to completely win the battle. At the last moment, Aang deliberately missed in order to keep the captain alive. If he hadn't done that, it would have ended very badly, but it was just a training sparring match. Everything was so that the captain could test the students' abilities in real combat conditions, and this aspect had long been resolved. While the captains were trying to recover from their shock and understand what had happened, the doors to the training complex opened. The members of the young team also want to congratulate their comrade on his success and cannot stay away. It was hard to believe what they saw. It seemed like they would have to treat Aang after his injuries, but it turned out that he had won. After that, the owner of this house said that it was time to finish all the training chores and move on to dinner. He also became interested in this guy. It became obvious to him that Aang was purposeful, strong, and clearly understood what he wanted. His potential is truly amazing. Maybe that's enough for his daughter to choose this guy as her husband. Situ Liu had never talked to her father about boys before, And finally, this day had come. Soon, everyone moved to the main room of the house and began dinner. The legendary martial arts master thanked everyone for saving the city and said that they were truly true heroes. His daughter looked quite upset. It seemed like the conversation with her father didn't go as well as she would have liked. Seeing Aang fight, Situ Hong realized that this guy was very talented, just like his daughter. They could be the perfect couple, but Situ Liu didn't even want to think about it. She thinks Aang is a real fool. A little later, during dinner, Suiju couldn't help but take pictures of the delicious dishes at the table. While she was engaged in this process, Lan tried to understand how his friend had defeated a first-rank demon. Dada intervened in the conversation and said that Aang had learned to use the energy of his core, and that is why he is considered a genius. Of course, this is a very dangerous method. Without proper preparation, the body may not be able to withstand such stress. In order to confirm his potential, Aang must go through many more trials on his way. Otherwise, his body will not become strong enough. Obviously, the captains don't know that this guy has absorbed 2 first-class demon cores and has now learned the regeneration process. Even if his body cannot withstand the stress, with the help of the tree's power, he will be able to restore the energy balance very easily. Of course, he won't tell you about it. It's much better if they think he only knows how to use his core. Situ Liu was also surprised to realize that her friend was quite a talented person. Now it was no wonder that he saved her life. From the very beginning, the captains believed that the students should be severely punished for their night walk. But considering that they killed a first-rank demon, they will be forgiven, but only once. It's too early to rejoice. The competition between the teams continues, and the young team is still lagging behind its opponents. Their goal is first place. The battle with the demons ended a month ago, and now the maximum struggle for leadership is underway. To get more points, all teams try to take on the highest class tasks, and now there are almost no such tasks left. Situ Liu has made a serious decision. She wants to find a victim. It is a gambling game for points, in which 2 teams participate. Of course, the first target will be the sniper squad. This is obvious after the conflict between them arose more than a month ago. This will be an ideal opportunity to earn a lot of points and also show your potential. Soon, the terms of the battle were agreed upon and the teams gathered on the battlefield. 2 girls will enter the arena first. Situ Liu will fight against Kus. This girl really has talents. She is good with a knife and has good flexibility. Suiju has already prepared her camera and is ready to do what she does best. The battle began very quickly. The daughter of the legendary warrior Sita immediately began to attack. She ordered her opponent to surrender immediately if she wanted to remain alive and unharmed. Despite the age difference, snipers place more emphasis on teamwork, but they are quite weak alone. When a real duel begins, their defenses begin to collapse quickly and panic sets in. When an opponent has an open body, martial arts cannot forgive such a thing. Situ Liu has known this since childhood. She delivers perfect blows to muscles and joints and very quickly forces her opponent to surrender. This ended the first battle between the teams. The result left no one in any doubt. The sniper Captain Laos was incredibly angry and said he wanted to fight next. Aang proposed his candidacy. The captain was already tired after the last battle, so it was time to castling. Laos promised that when this battle was over, Aang would not be recognized even by his closest relatives. Soon, preparations for the battle began, and many people gathered around to see it with their own eyes. Laos immediately chose the air rifle as his main weapon. In response, Aang can choose any weapon of his choice. There are no restrictions. Now he only has an ordinary combat knife. In a past life, he also used this weapon, and now he misses it. He soon decided that fighting with bare hands was the best way for old-school sparring. Laos couldn't believe that his opponent really wanted to fight with his bare hands. He felt like he was being totally despised. Even the sniper team thought it was all just a joke and a prank. It was impossible to defeat an air rifle with your bare hands. Even if he hunts a rabbit, he does it with maximum force and underestimates his opponent. This made Laos even angrier, and now he will fight 100%. In response, he just smiled and asked to show him everything Laos was capable of. His teammates had mixed feelings. On the one hand, they knew he had defeated a level 1 demon, but fighting with bare hands was dangerous. Situ Liu has recently started to think that Aang might be even more talented than her, and she doesn't like it. If she's the team captain, she can't be weaker than the others, and Aang looks too much like her father. Soon the battle began and Laos immediately prepared for his attack. It was time to show all his abilities. Aang no longer sees the point in hiding his abilities because he has already shown them to the city captains. Right now, he just wants to win, and if his inner demon helps him, he can quickly regain his former form. If he's lucky, he won't even be able to become stronger than he was in his past life, but he'll have to work hard for it. The guy firmly decided that the inner demon would now obey him and do whatever he wanted. His reflexes immediately reached an incredible level and he was able to dodge the first bullet. With this rifle, you only need to hit the target once. Then all the bullets will be magnetically attracted to the target. In order to dodge all these attacks, Aang decided to use a water technique that he had taken from a first-rank demon. After that, he was able to easily close the distance and get closer to his opponent. As soon as he was nearby, he immediately tried to block Laos's weapon. The sniper team immediately began to worry about their captain, but it was too late. Then it was a matter of technique. All that remained was to realize the obvious advantage. Thus, Aang won and earned his team another 20 important points in the team ranking. All members of the Aang team immediately congratulated their comrade on an important victory. This is their common cause, and they won more than they lost and thus scored a large number of points very quickly. The rise in the ranking was not long in coming. At the end of the month, they were already at the top of the list. Thus, the young team received the right to participate in the final stage. The finals between the 3 remaining teams soon began, and here are the best of the best. The captains were surprised when they heard that the young team was able to rise in the rankings in just a few days. No one had ever managed to do that before. It's not easy to stand out against the background of experienced teams, but you have to admit that they are good. Of course, the captains have already heard about scoring methods. This is something new in competitions between teams. For the first time in many years, a team of rookies will participate in the finals, and it will be incredibly interesting to watch. Our heroes' opponents are very serious. They want to go out and show the newcomers their place. Their rivals will be Captain Joel's team, called the Dawn, as well as Captain Data's team, the Star Sword. The young heroes will have to make every effort to win this battle. Although endurance is still Aang's weak point, his progress is developing very quickly, and he is confident of victory. Each captain tried to cheer up their team and give a motivational speech before the start. Joel, like Dada, were confident that their teams would be able to take first place. Soon Captain Dan appeared and ordered all the teams to approach him for a little chat. He is sure that they all know their opponents, so there is no point in dwelling on this. The final will be divided into 2 stages, a team battle and an individual duel. Whoever scores the most points will win the competition. This month's rewards will be very interesting. The winner will be able to go to a Class B city for a week to study and train and make significant progress. For such an event, you will have to buy a better camera if we are talking about Suiju. It was soon announced that the team commanders would draw lots. Meanwhile, Aang ignored it and tried to understand how valuable the reward could be. Each with 7th rank cores can be found there. That is, the strongest warriors of humanity at the moment. The city of Blossom is a rather pathetic place, but Aang is more interested in his hometown, which he defended with his comrades half a century ago. His friends asked him not to get distracted and to focus on the competition. They needed a victory today. The draw has been made, and the young team will be the first to fight against the Star team. These young warriors haven't even come up with a name for their team. They're either too lazy or too busy. Their opponents are already quite experienced warriors who came here not to talk, but to take first place. Each of them chose an opponent for themselves, and soon the judges announced the start of the fight. The Zoria team chose one-on-one combat tactics. They don't like teamwork, but on the contrary, they feel comfortable working individually. This tactic is effective when there is a large difference in strength, but today is not the case at all. Not only did Situ Liu understand the opponent's tactics, but he also guessed it and decided to launch an attack on the enemy captain. The disadvantage of the division tactic is that everyone fights for themselves, and if the captain loses, the others will lose their fighting spirit. Very quickly, the Zoria team realized that they were acting incorrectly and decided to also launch an attack on the captain. In order to win, you will have to protect Sita Liu by any means necessary because she is the leader. There's something to watch in this battle, with everyone trying to showcase their strengths and hide their weaknesses. The captains began to fight each other. Of course, this is the central battle of this confrontation. The captain of the Dawn concentrated his energy to blind his opponents, a technique often used by energy monsters in the Night Forest. While everyone was closing their eyes, Aang decided to seize the moment and defeat his opponent. His new skill with water goggles helped him avoid the flash of bright light. In this way, he defeated his opponent very quickly and easily. It was not even clear when he had time to do it. He gave the opportunity to deliver the final blow to his captain. Situ Liu gladly seized this chance. She instantly approached her opponent and hit him with her left guard kick. Everything was fast and powerful. I would never have thought that a fragile girl could punch like Muhammad Ali. After that, Aang hardly interfered, and mostly helped his comrades, although they were doing just fine without him. The captain of the Dawn team was defeated, so they had no choice but to surrender. The judges recognized the victory of the youth over the experienced warriors, something you don't see often. Soon the Star Sword team learned the result. They couldn't believe that the star had lost to the children. They usually easily defeat less experienced opponents and always reach the finals. Finally, the captain of the Star team gave advice to his comrades from the Star Saber team. He knows how to defeat these kids. It's always easy to give advice after your own defeat. Let's see if that helps the Star Sword. Experienced warriors look frightened. They have never felt fear before battle. Captain Dada decided to change the weapon to a training one. Otherwise, a large number of casualties could not be avoided. Now the Battle of the Titans will begin, and we will see who works better as a team. The youth immediately use the element of defense to repel the opponent's first attack, which is smart, but takes a lot of strength. After that, Aang intervened and decided to play around a bit with the wooden demon's skills. He knew it would work, because the different demon elements had a huge number of ways to be used. After that, Lan received orders from the captain to act tough and uncompromisingly, which is what he was born to do. You could say that this guy is a kind of version of the Hulk, only in human form. When he fights, he focuses on physical strength and power. His attacks are predictable, but difficult to defend against. The girls are not going to watch him fight without support. They are always ready to come to the rescue in a difficult moment. As we have already understood, they don't care about authority figures. They are ready to do anything for the sake of victory. Let's go back a few minutes and see what the captains of experienced teams were talking about. The captain of the Dawn said that Aang is the most dangerous member of the opposing team. He seems to control the entire battlefield, like a true strategist. Now, the captain of the Star Saber team tries not to forget those words, but she is constantly distracted by her rivals. She tried to defend herself, but at that moment she received no support from her own teammates. It was an easy victory, and now the teams are looking forward to the next individual stage. Each warrior can challenge any member of the other team. Both captains chose Aang from Situ Liu's team as their next opponent, which should hardly surprise anyone. Dan explained that one person should only fight once, so they should make a different choice. Aang intervened in the conversation and said that he was ready to fight both opponents in order to save time. This is the last test on the way to victory. He is confident that he will be able to defeat experienced opponents. They are upset, but at the same time angry, because he doesn't respect them at all, even though he should. The rules are the same as in a regular battle. If one of the sides surrenders or can no longer continue, the battle automatically ends. As soon as the rules were announced, the captain of the Dawn team immediately began to attack, without any warning. They, along with the Star Saber captain, agreed to act according to the plan. But Aang was still open to any plans of his rivals. He has his own plan in mind, and he will not give anyone the opportunity to defeat him in this confrontation. Underestimating your opponents can cost you a lot, even if you consider yourself too strong. The captain's plan is quite simple. They have united to finally defeat these brazen youth. To do this, you will need to use tactical goggles. The captain of the Dawn handed them to his partner. They block light from bright flashes of light and will help prevent eye injuries. After that, the Star Saber captain must deliver the decisive blow and defeat Aang. This guy is really a very strong team, so to beat him, you will have to work as a real team. The burst of energy was truly extremely powerful. Even the judges could barely withstand the energy. Suiju was the most unhappy of all the insects because she couldn't photograph the perfect moment of the battle. After such a flash of light, Aang should be 1,000,000% blinded, and he can take advantage of that. It seemed like the perfect moment to attack. One blow could end the battle. As it turned out, it was easy only in theory, but in practice this guy turned out to be much more attentive to small details. When he looked at her, it seemed as if she could drown in the cold and deep ocean. That look was killing. Using the power of water, he immediately stopped her attack and forced her to retreat. Aang was facing two serious opponents at the same time. He didn't even need help. It seemed like he had turned into a real octopus, with 8 arms working simultaneously. During the battle, there was too much smoke around, so the judges couldn't see what was happening. We had to intervene immediately, otherwise the consequences could have been catastrophic. When Captain Dan jumped into the fray, he couldn't believe he was actually seeing something like this. Aang approached him. The mosquito calmed down a bit and said that the fight was over. The fog cleared, and everyone around saw this guy enjoying his victory. He is no longer as weak as everyone thought before. In a fairly short period of time, he became one of the leaders of the team. Only Situ Liu did not show her joy. She felt that this guy was hiding something, but she could not understand what exactly. Soon their main captain approached them. He announced that their team had won and taken first place. They all surprised him in these competitions, especially Aang when he fought against 2 opponents at the same time. The strongest warrior in the world cannot lose even in a weak body. Experience is crucial. Now, thanks to this victory, they receive a well-deserved reward, and tomorrow morning they will go to a Class B city, where a week of training will begin. This is very good news because the experience they get in this city can be incredible. The competition has been completed, and now each of them has the opportunity to rest a little before tomorrow's trip. The captains began to discuss what had happened. Now everyone admitting that Aang was a scary guy. He doesn't belong here. He's so talented that he should move on, Captain Dan believes. Tomorrow they will travel underground. It is the safest way to the neighboring city. Of course, sometimes lower-ranking demons get there, so you have to remember to concentrate and be careful. Underground tunnels are a transportation system of the past. Now they are abandoned and used only for communication between cities. You shouldn't assume that they are 100% safe because sometimes very scary things happen in these tunnels. Recently, a second-rank demon with unknown abilities found people there and killed them. He has a long list of victims and he doesn't want to stop there. Early in the morning, Situlu's team set off into the underground tunnel with Dan. This tunnel is much older than all of them, and almost no one uses it now. After the Battle of Bloom, many people died, and it became impossible to expand territories and carry out large-scale missions. Because of this, the number of energy crystals began to decrease, and without them it is difficult to ensure full-fledged life on Earth. That is why underground tunnels had to be abandoned, and this path was also abandoned, although it was opened during the time of the famous warrior Aang. The captain said that they would discuss it later, but for now we should not get distracted and continue on our way. No one knows about it now, but it is only known that this tunnel is not as simple as it seems. It is part of a vast network of tunnels, and was built at a time when these tunnels were not just connecting cities. You could find a lot of people in them because it was the safest and most comfortable place to live. This project was called the greatest miracle of all time. It's strange that it ended up abandoned. The crystals that the captain recently spoke about can be called the union of demon nuclei. After the core gives power to the warriors, it is purified and concentrated. As a result of this process, humans were able to seek a new shelter, which would be a disaster. The scale of the city of Hiloshi is not that large. Their crystal is enough to provide the city with energy for several months. They go to neighboring cities every month to search for crystals, and now the younger generation knows about it. In the city of Peta, there are not only a few second-rank warriors, but there are 2 third-rank warriors. According to rumors, their level of synchronization is really high, so they can be called very talented warriors. Of course, compared to Aang and his lifelong synchronization, it's nothing. Sueju found a red button in the tunnel. Aang immediately started shouting loudly and told her not to press it. This button is for emergency closing. In case of an emergency, it will close the tunnel between the cities. This will completely isolate this tunnel, so it's best not to play with such buttons. After pressing it, a large iron wall will immediately appear, blocking the passage, so you should only press the button in a critical situation. The most important function of the tunnel is working. It is very important now, because Aang felt something approaching. He sensed it before the captain. It was the smell of blood, and it meant danger. All the warriors immediately prepared for a potential battle. You never know what awaits you in the dark area. Soon, someone who looked like a demon appeared in front of them. There was a lot of blood around him, and it all looked really scary. As they got closer, they saw that it was actually an ordinary person. He tried to speak, but almost immediately lost consciousness and fell to the ground. He managed to say that a wave of demons had attacked the city of Peta, and it was decided to leave the city. In any city, there is only one condition that signals the departure of all soldiers, and that is the death of all soldiers. This is a truly terrible situation that any city in the world fears facing. So the city of Peta has been destroyed, and now, where do they go to neighboring cities? Aang felt the approach of an otherworldly force, but didn't have time to react. Something approached very quickly. Now there is no doubt that they have met a real demon. He has come to finish his dinner. Now he will not allow anyone to escape and tell other people about the approach of demons. Dead men tell no tales. This is the same dangerous demon we talked about earlier, and now he has come to kill again. He decided to start the killing spree with a young boy named Lan, deciding that he would be the sweetest victim. The young warrior was very lucky to have an experienced captain by his side, who immediately saved his life. He repelled the demon's attack, but this is only the beginning, so it's too early to celebrate. The right decision was made very quickly. They all started running away and didn't look back. Demon hasn't played hide-and-seek for a long time, although he's a real fan of the game. Whoever doesn't have time to hide from him will face a terrible death. These have always been the rules. Aang decided to take a risk and protect his friends at the cost of his own health. He saved their lives for a while, but now he will have to fight the monster one-on-one. He decided to press the button to close the tunnel and stay with the demon in order to save his friends. This is a decision that cannot but evoke emotions. Only true heroes can take such actions. Situlu couldn't believe he had actually done it. She was worried he had no chance in a battle against such a strong opponent. The captain asked the other warriors to calm down. Aang had given them a chance to survive. They couldn't waste this opportunity. Opinions were divided. The team members did not want to abandon their comrade because they understood that he would not survive the battle against such a strong opponent. Situ Liu suggested breaking down the door despite the risks, but it would be difficult to do because it was a top-level door. They can withstand attacks from third-rank demons, so they cannot be broken so easily. They won't be able to help the guy in a simple way. They will have to try to call other people for help, and only then return. Meanwhile, the boy's battle against the monster continued. He was not at all worried and behaved quite confidently. Only he knows how strong the demonic power is hidden in his soul. Now his opponent will feel it on his own body. Aang can no longer hide his true source of power and have fun. He likes how his opponent controls fire. He wants to take this extraordinary ability for himself. To do this, you will have to use your abilities, which were obtained with the help of other demons. The power of fire can be an adornment of his technique. The main thing is to defeat this demon and take his soul. This will not be easy to do because fire is stronger than wood. The guy managed to dodge the opponent's first attacks in time. Now he needs to strike back. He very quickly guessed that he needed to activate the powers of water. Only it could stop the fire. The battle continued for several more minutes, but the result was obvious. The power of water won, and Aang took the demon's scalp with him, like a true predator. Due to the loud sounds of battle, other lower-ranking demons approached this one. At that moment, Aang absorbed the core of the second-rank demon and took its power. Now he will use devilish fire and control this element like a real profile. His evolution continues, and now he wants to test this technique on his opponents. Fire easily destroyed a huge number of monsters in just a few seconds. This element is truly cruel. Soon, with the help of his new strength, he was able to open the door and step outside. He decided to see what was happening in the city of Peds, and regretted it almost immediately. The glorious city was completely destroyed. The number of people killed was extraordinary. Even the third-rank warriors were dead, which is what the enemy's numerical superiority leads to. Soon he heard a human voice. Someone mistook him for a demon and prepared for battle. It was a young guy who thought he was facing a high-ranking demon, probably because Aang had become too much like a monster. His appearance has really changed, and now it's hard to believe that he's an ordinary person. At that moment, during the conversation, this boy began to be attacked by other demons that were still in the city. Only with the help of incredible reaction and speed did Aang manage to react and save the boy's life. His regenerative abilities will help heal injuries. Not only is this guy unable to understand who is in front of him, he is also confused about whether he is a human or a demon. The further he goes on this journey, the less human he remains. A veritable army of other demons has gathered around him, and the boy has no choice but to destroy them all. He must avenge the ordinary people of the city of Peda. They all died today, and someone must answer for it. He used all his abilities and resolutely began to attack these terrible creatures. They must understand that fighting humans will lead to their total annihilation, and never attack cities again. Sometimes, in order to do a good deed, you have to use force and be quite cruel. Soon, he was standing on a veritable mountain of demon corpses. But there are still too many of these terrible creatures in the world. Now he doesn't know where his comrades and captain have gone. They planned to find energy crystals, but everything didn't go according to plan. The energy core of the city of Holosi can last for another 3 months. The road to the city of Peta is cut off, so if the crystal is not found, the city of Holosi will be in danger. We must immediately find the power crystal cache and return at least 1 crystal. But we must act very wisely and use our best abilities. With the power of the tree, you can search the entire city and find the necessary items. It was not easy to guess before, but evolution concerns not only physical characteristics, but also the brain. Very quickly, he found the place where the energy crystals were stored. All that remains is to go there immediately and collect the necessary crystals for your city. This is a Class B city power crystal transportation system, built more than 20 years ago. He entered the next room and saw a large number of corpses. These warriors had given their lives protecting the crystals. This was a targeted attack, where they came here and to destroy the crystal energy and take away the main source of power from the people. There is no doubt that if the monsters were ordered to do this, they would become much smarter than they were before. Aang didn't find any intact crystals around, so he'll have to go searching again. He is required to find another city within 3 months and return with the power crystals in the Haloka. That's why he found an affordable vehicle and set out in search of another city. In his past life, he loved movies about tough guys, and now he imagines himself as the main character of such a movie. Soon he found an abandoned city in the middle of the desert. It used to be much more pleasant to be here, but now it is a wasteland. He didn't even realize that he was being secretly watched. Even in such a deserted place, you always have to be focused. Very quickly, he fell into a trap and found himself in danger. Thanks to his excellent reaction, he managed to dodge the attack. But now he has to decide what it was. At first, he thought he had been attacked by monsters, but when he saw the rope, he guessed it was people who had done it. Soon he saw a man with a gun. No one was expecting him here, so he shouldn't expect hospitality. He was very unlucky because he ran into real hunters. Hunters are a part of humanity that lives outside of cities. They are small groups of people who work together. Ung tried to calm the situation and said that he came in peace, he was an ordinary warrior, and he had to pass through this city. This all looks incredibly suspicious, and now the situation could get completely out of control. The hunter ordered Aang to shut up. He believes that warriors like him are worse than demons. This hunter is a member of the tag squad. He is looking for his missing friends and believes that Aang might know something about it. It seemed that this hunter had the situation under control. But very quickly, everything changed, and he was attacked. It turned out that this was done by members of the Silver Wolves team. They came to destroy all the other hunters in this city. It turned out that the last member of the tag team was a girl. Now she is injured and cannot defend herself. A little more, and they will kill her. Although she is not at all afraid of death if she has chosen the path of a hunter in the desert. This girl is really very beautiful. Maybe they will use her for their own interests at first. Ung quickly realized what was happening and decided to intervene and prevent these terrible events from happening before his eyes. He was taught from childhood to protect girls and intervene in situations where injustice prevails. He didn't want to interfere in the hunters' fights, but these guys had completely lost their conscience and ruined his mood. When they saw him, they thought that a demon was standing in front of them, which was partly true, so they better get out of here. With the help of the power of the tree, he very quickly showed these hunters who the real boss was. After that, it was time to use the healing skill and help the injured girl. Her hands were in terrible condition. It was the first time she had seen a warrior with such special skills. It seemed like some kind of miracle, so she thanked him for his help. It seems like a real 5th-rank warrior is standing in front of her. She has never met such people before. Aang replied that he was not a genius at all but had only learned good healing skills. He asked her to tell him about the neighboring cities, and the girl replied that if he took her with him, she would tell him where they were. It's strange. They just met, and they don't even know each other's names, and she already wants to go with him. She said that there was a C-class city called Sinway nearby, and it would be easy to get to. This city has been captured by a team of Silver Wolves. A few days ago, they almost completely destroyed the tag squad. And now the girl is hungry for revenge. No one even guessed that the boss of the Silver Wolves had recently become the owner of a 3rd-rank corps and had significantly increased his power. That's why she asked the guy to help her, and this poor town, because they deserve a second chance. Rumor has it that the Silver Wolves have captured all the power crystals, so Aang may be interested in this plan. It was quickly decided to accept her offer and go to the city of Shinwei for revenge. Their path was quite simple and no monster prevented them from reaching this city. Aang had never heard of this city in his past life, which is strange because this city is not even on the map. He was already planning what he would do there, trying to strategize for victory, and completely forgot about the potential dangers. A huge number of monsters appeared behind him. It seemed that they were doomed. But it turned out that everything was completely different. In order to destroy these monsters, it was not even necessary to pay special attention to them. It was enough just to feel their presence. Very quickly, these demons no longer posed any threat. Now no one will interfere with the plan of revenge. This girl's name is Lily, and she has never met anyone like Aang in her life. Now she is sure that with this strong guy, they will save his city and her teammates. The doors to the city were open, and soon a man could be seen trying to leave with his child. He was scared and tried to save his life. Unfortunately, some were against his plan. As soon as Lily saw the Silver Wolves, she immediately prepared her rifle. This girl had long dreamed of revenge. Aang stopped her in time and said that this would only give away their current location. It was better for him to go alone and solve this problem without support. A man and a child were taken by a huge hand. It's even hard to imagine how big a monster is hiding behind this door. If up until now it seemed that the main rivals would be the Silver Wolves, now it is obvious that there is also a demon there. If there are demons there, there's no point in planning anything and preparing for an attack. It's better to hurry up and destroy the maximum number of enemies. Lily can't stand by and wait for all the dirty work to be done without her. She also wants to take action and help. Within seconds, she saw that Aang had easily defeated 2 Silver Wolf warriors. This guy continues to amaze her. She saw that the skin of these men had turned into something disgusting. They looked as if they had died many years ago. Upon entering the city, she saw Aang fighting against a huge number of zombies. He had already guessed that all these zombies were controlled by a demon with special abilities, so he had to act very quickly. In such situations, not a single minute can be lost because the demon gets the opportunity to prepare for an attack. He saw that the zombies were connected to the demon by some incomprehensible aura. Now it can be found following the tracks of the dead. This should not be a problem. When he opened the door of the central temple, he became angry because he realized he was late. He was immediately met by a demon and told that in this city everyone obeyed him and no one had the right to escape. This is a third-rank demon. It has a purple core, skills in illusions, and controlling the dead. It seems that there are several power crystals behind the demon, so you can kill two birds with one stone. To do this, you will have to defeat this monster. It is quite big and strong. But this is a real task. Where they are found with a purple core is quite rare. The problem is that they can activate illusion skills. In addition, this monster completely subjugated the boss of the Silver Wolf Squad to its power. He had turned this man into his own bodyguard, and now he ordered him to attack the stranger. An opponent with a third-rank core might be a problem. His name is Yuan. He is the commander of the Silver Wolves. This commander is not alone. Next to him are his loyal warriors, who have long been under the power of the monster. Here you can also find people who were ordinary residents of this city, so defeating them all will be a difficult task. The skill of controlling illusions provides many advantages, but such demons are vulnerable during close-range combat. They try to fight with the help of other people, controlling them like chess pieces. It will take some work to get close to the demon, but once the close-range combat begins, it will be over. Very quickly, the monster realized that his opponent was no ordinary man because an ordinary warrior is not capable of such a thing. Aang defeated his rivals and burned their bodies. Now only he and the demon remained. The guy instantly approached this disgusting boar and struck it with the first blow. There was very little left to strike the core and win, but suddenly a little boy appeared in front of Aang. He covered the demon with his body. That's what these vile monsters are capable of. They have no conscience at all. I had to push the child away in order to continue the fight, but the demon used this minimal pause to his advantage. At this moment, other corpses approached the monster and gave it some kind of potion. Aang didn't understand what it was, but his instincts immediately began screaming for rescue. We will have to prevent the demon from becoming stronger, so reaction speed now plays a key role in this battle. Our main character is only at the second rank, so he can't defeat such opponents in 3 seconds. His blow was blocked after the monster drank the magic potion. It seems that this demon is draining energy from the power crystals, and that's why it's becoming stronger. If you absorb the energy of the force that was obtained after the synthesis, then soon the monster should explode from overload. The demon is probably saved by the potion. It stabilizes the energy in his body and prevents him from exploding. On the one hand, this is the next step in the evolution of monsters, but this method also has its drawbacks. The demon evolved with the help of power crystals and now has the ability to control metallic energy. He has become much more handsome and has raised his rank. Now this could become a serious problem. This monster immediately activated a hurricane of metal blades. If Aang didn't dodge in time, he would turn into a chopped ham. Using the power of wood, you can create a protective barrier. So far, this is its main idea. Of course, this barrier can't save for a long period of time, so we'll have to come up with something else. The demon feels that he has become stronger, and his self-confidence is constantly growing. He likes Aang and wants to turn his body into his new doll. It seems that this monster is a real pervert. At the last moment, strange things started happening. The space around began to warp. Queen He appeared from this spatial portal. She said that she would not let any pathetic worms ruin her plans. Very quickly, this demoness destroyed the monster and solved all of Aang's problems with her presence. Now we need to understand what to expect next because it's unlikely that she came here just for this. Upon seeing the 8th rank demon, Aang quickly realized that he was in an incredibly— This is what the true power of a queen means. She took the purple core of the dead demon and said that she would now help this boy become stronger. With this core, he will really be able to add various new techniques to his arsenal and learn to control illusions. At first, it was very painful because it is difficult for the human body to jump from the 2nd rank to the 4th immediately. He had the impression that he would be torn apart now. The queen had already begun to doubt her actions and realized that she was in front of a real slug. It was very difficult for Aang to contain all this energy within himself. He hoped that the queen would help him survive. At that moment, Queen He heard a familiar voice and managed to wake the king. Very quickly, Chi broke through the inner walls of his soul and broke out, for the first time in a long time. He was dissatisfied and said that the queen should not interfere in the process of human evolution. It seemed like they hadn't seen each other for a long time, and there was something much more than just friendship between them, because He immediately hugged Chi. She said she had been following this guy and saw that he needed help to defeat an opponent who had finished his evolution. She understands that if the boy died, the demon Chi would die with him, and this could not be allowed. The king explained that this body must constantly feel threatened in order to evolve. Him. And now after he left, they can't even trust each other. These dukes have probably forgotten their main goal, but that's not really important right now. They don't particularly suspect Hei, so the king may not be concerned about her. She would like to welcome the strongest demon back and celebrate the long-awaited meeting. The king helped the boy's body evolve by the 4th morning, but Aang would have a long time to get used to the power within him. He also asked the queen not to contact people and not to attract unnecessary attention. At that moment, they saw Lily approaching them. This girl had met an 8th-rank demon for the first time in her life. This could be a problem for them, so the demons need to decide what to do in this situation. Aang was somewhere deep inside. It felt like he had fallen into the deepest waters of the Pacific Ocean. When he opened his eyes, he saw Lily in front of him. She was seriously injured and not moving at all. He quickly realized that all this had happened behind him. His evolution to the 4th rank has just been successfully completed, but he is unlikely to be happy about it. Lily said that she dreamed of visiting the city of Blossom and studying with a florist because she loves flowers very much. Now all this no longer matters because she is dead, and it comes to light how cruel this world is. It seems like this world really lacks wonderful flowers. Maybe at least they could change the world for the better. Aang will never forgive himself for this mistake. It all happened because he couldn't handle the demonic power within himself. Now he has 4th rank power, and he has no desire to test it in real life. You can't relax until the matter is completed. You need to understand what connects the demoness of the 8th morning with the demon Chi. Save their lives, but these are just dreams. Soon he set out for the city of Pisidia, the nearest city to him. At this moment, Captain Dan and the 3 soldiers achieved their goal and arrived in the Class A city, Brian. Kurt, a 5th rank warrior, commander of the headquarters of the city of Brian, said he could not send reinforcements. He just found out that the Class B city, Peta, was attacked by monsters, so he's sure no one there survived. Commander Dan has been trying to get reinforcements to try to that city. These people will be able to find out what the situation is like around. In any case, all these monster attacks should not affect the demon hunting competition in the city of Blossom. The city of Hilosi has a very low rating and usually does not make it to this competition. Kurt said that this year the rules may be changed a bit, and the city of Hiloka will have a chance. To do this, young warriors must prove themselves, and then they will be able to perform in these legendary competitions. He allowed them to stay in the city and rest a bit, then this matter would be resolved. First, we need to talk a little about these competitions. They only take place in the city of Roskvit. In simple words, this is a hunt for monsters of different ranks, as a result of which the strongest warriors will be found. These warriors receive special rewards from the City of Prosperity that will help unleash their potential. This grand event takes place regularly. Every warrior dreams of taking part in these competitions. In order to participate, a city must be at least at level B, but this year the rules may change slightly. There is no doubt that Aang would also want to participate in these competitions if he were here. Everyone hopes that he was able to survive despite the monster attack, because after he saved them, everyone fell in love with this guy, even Situ Liu. At first she treated this weak snotty with too much contempt, but now she really cares about his fate. They have to wait for news from the scouts, during which time they can explore the city and spend some time together, like a real team. In this city, you can find a huge number of talented fighters, exchange experiences with them, and make friends. Let's move on to the huge Class A city, Pisidia. There's a lot to see here because from the right angle, this city seems like paradise. In the reception room of this city, an important conversation is taking place about the city of Pida, which was destroyed after a monster attack. Aang talked to a girl named Barris. She is a 5th rank warrior, general of the city of Pikadia. She told him some information but then said she couldn't give him the power crystal. It is not she who makes the decisions regarding the issuance of crystals. Usually the decisions are made by high-class cities. Since the city of Peta was destroyed, this request can be made to the city of Prosperity so that they change their mind regarding the distribution of resources. And he didn't even suspect how difficult the resource distribution system is. He needs the flourishing content, but he's not sure he can get there. He thanked the Barris for the valuable information and asked if he could get into the City of Prosperity as a representative of the city of Halasi. It turned out that it wasn't that simple. If he wasn't one of the city's commanders, no one would let him in. Besides, the delegation cannot consist of one person. There is too much bureaucracy, even in this world. He is lucky because there is one way to make his wish come true. If someone from the upper class of the city is willing to vouch for him. For example, Barris can do this, but there is one condition for this, which is that everything is not so simple. There will be a demon hunting competition in the capital, and if Aang joins her team as a volunteer, she will help him. Of course, the girl cannot ensure that he will stay alive. In the modern world, everything is too unstable. Every squad has scouts during demon hunting, and this is exactly the role they want to give Aang. The scout must determine the demon's level, as well as gather information. He plays an important role in the team. Of course, gathering information is an extremely dangerous task, which is why scouts often die, and warriors try to avoid this role. Aang doesn't know what insecurity is. He accepted this offer because, in the past, he was the one who started the tradition of demon hunting. They went to the nano equipment warehouse where the conversation about his role continued. No city wants to make an important member of their team a scout, but Aang has no choice. That's why no one can guarantee his safety, but he can get the best uniform to increase his chances. His core is severely damaged and she cannot understand his rank. It seems as if he has no demon core at all. The girl is sure that he is no stronger than the second rank, but that is enough to become a scout. Meanwhile, Aang saw a knife that could transform into a full-fledged sword, and he liked this weapon. He immediately took the blade into his hands and said he wanted to use it during the competition. Barris can't believe this guy is really strong enough to wield such a weapon. She underestimated him from the very beginning, and it is known that there are warriors with special skills in using equipment. They can master even the best weapons without any problems. She didn't expect to meet such a person in her life, but today everything changed. After that, they went outside to find a place to practice. Aang wants to try using his sword and stretch his muscles a bit. Barris said that she could go with him if he needed her help, because first-rank demons often appeared at the training ground. When marking out an area outside the city, a fog-dispersing device is used to see potential dangers. Research, training battles, and experiments are being conducted in the area that has been temporarily cleared. Aang doesn't need help. He can easily handle first-rank topics. His confidence and courage are rare qualities among today's warriors. In fact, Aang couldn't let her go with him because he wasn't just going to test his new weapon. Now he has a new task. He wants to see what he can do with a rank 4 core, and he doesn't need any other witnesses for that. He quickly reached the cleared area. The preparation of this area had already been completed. There was almost no fog left. This doesn't mean it's safe here. Almost from the very beginning, he will have to face a huge monster. His reactions and abilities are at the highest level, and with new weapons, such monsters cannot pose a serious threat. With such a large sword, killing monsters becomes a real pleasure. The first demon was destroyed very quickly, but his friends came to his aid. These are ideal conditions for learning to use a sword perfectly, so Aang is satisfied. He swung his sword. With each blow, there was more blood and monster body parts around. Aang moved confidently in this dance of madness. It seemed as if he was born only to destroy demons. The guy did not use the powers of wood, water, fire, and metal he had gained, but instead tried to improve the reflexes of his new body. He was able to completely destroy all of these demons and turn them into minced meat. He soon saw that there were a few more opponents left, such as a first-rank demon who knew how to use the power of the tree. These monsters are stronger than anyone who came before them. But Aang doesn't look like a scared boy at all. He didn't give them a chance to get close to him because he was acting preemptively, and he began to attack first. His metal element copes well with the power of fire. Now he has almost nothing to fear. A good opportunity to test the powers of the 4th-rank demon core, which could control the dead. He wants to force the dead demon to submit to him and fight against his partner. This is a really ingenious plan. This way you can even gather your own army of dead monsters. Let's move back to the city of Pacadia. It's already evening, and Aang still hasn't returned. Barris is very worried. Soon the gates to the city will be closed for the night, and she understands that she may lose her new scout. She was told that not only first-rank demons had recently been spotted, but also stronger monsters, even 4th-rank ones. She was already beginning to understand that the boy had most likely been eaten by demons. But if he was alive, she had to try to bring him back. She went to the cleared area to find him. The main task? To return before sunset. Barris has never been in such a hurry in her life. She can't be left without a scout before the start of the competition. She understands that he is just an ordinary guy from a low-ranking city, so letting him go alone was her mistake. Soon she began to feel that there were monsters somewhere nearby. There had never been such a smell here before. She didn't like it. It seems like where different ranks work together, she will soon be able to understand what is happening. Seeing one of the monsters, she immediately attacked and destroyed it, but it didn't even resist, which is strange. Soon, Barris realized that she had fallen into a trap and was surrounded by a huge number of demons. She doesn't understand anything at all. These monsters have never worked in a team before in their lives, but something has changed. She took out her weapon and prepared to destroy them all. But the monsters behaved like zombies. In any case, first you need to chop them into pieces, and only then analyze the situation. This is how the Barris works. Soon she saw a new wave coming, And it was at this moment that Aang began to talk to her. The girl didn't immediately realize that this was her friend, so she tried to cut off his head, like a real female praying mantis. I had to explain to her that she needed to calm down and not kill everyone she met in the forest. It's hard to believe that he was able to not only stay alive but also stop her blows, even though before that he seemed like an ordinary guy. Barris greeted him and said that they had to return to the city before sunset, so they had to quickly destroy all these demons. After that, Aang took a few steps forward and killed all of these monsters with one swing of his hand. He said that now they could go back, although she was unlikely to be satisfied with such explanations. This is the first time she sees that monsters can be controlled by someone, so she wants to understand what is going on here. Aang replied that he didn't have to report to anyone because he wasn't a little boy at school. Soon they agreed to head to Blossom City first thing in the morning, so the incident was forgotten for a while. She understands that he doesn't care about tomorrow's monster hunt because he only thinks about the power crystals. The girl wanted to return to the city. That was all she cared about, and she didn't even suspect what had happened in the cleared area. According to the latest reports, everything in the cleared area was destroyed by an unknown force. They woke up early in the morning and headed to the capital, where adventures would await them. Aang is in this city for the first time in a long time. In fact, he founded the City of Prosperity and helped run it in its early years. This city was named after his death, probably because of the battle in its heyday. It seems that he will be able to meet the people he united into one team. They were previously called the Six Heroes. They were his friends. He wonders what happened to them after their last battle, and whether they would believe him if he told them the truth. He soon learned that a new team of heroes had already appeared, which was a real shock for him. The new six heroes don't like it when anyone mentions the old warriors, so it's better not to speak about them out loud. It's also better not to mention the old legendary warrior, because now a new king has appeared. He is now humanity's strongest warrior and is best treated with the utmost respect. He became the new king of this empire, and the legendary warrior Aang is no longer of interest to anyone because he is a fallen king. It's better never to mention the spacious king and his heroes in the City of Prosperity in your life, otherwise there will be serious problems. Maybe in the city of Shelox they are still considered heroes, but in the capital everything is completely different. They are no longer very popular in this city, and this is a real blow to our hero's heart. It is unknown what happened after his death, but in his past life he was the boss of 6 warriors, and together with them destroyed thousands of monsters. Aang also decided to go and investigate the Guan obelisk on his own to understand the secret of the demons. In the year 369, 6 large obelisks fell to the ground, and demons with 6 nuclei of different colors emerged. No one has investigated this source of the appearance of demons on Earth. To date, only Aang knows one of the secrets of the obelisk. In fact, demons have not 7, but 8 ranks, but it seems that all his efforts were in vain, and he gave his life for humanity in vain. Soon, he entered the city and saw fairly modern buildings and a large number of people. Roskvit is a huge city, although it would be incorrect to call it that way, because it consists of many different independent districts and buildings. Here you can find forests, rivers, lakes, and even mountains surrounded by large and long walls, and the city is divided into 7 districts. 6 districts are controlled by a team of heroes, and the central district belongs to the king, meaning everything looks completely different. Even the smell is different. Aang tried to remember what it was like here in his past life, when he was the king of this city. He walked to the center of the square to see his own sculpture. It's unlikely he'll like what happened to this statue, because it's immediately clear that no one here appreciates the past king. According to rumors, they even want to move it to another place so that a new statue of the new king can be erected there. Not far from him, Aang saw a member of the old team of heroes. It seemed to be a woman. Her name is Lena Vine. In a past life, she was a beautiful girl with incredible reaction and speed. This girl has changed a bit now. Many years have passed, but she is still quite pretty. She is now a member of the city patrol team, and although she is a healer, everyone knows about her aggressive nature. Other warriors approached her and said that now everyone didn't care who she was before. The past heroes don't even have a demon core, and if it weren't for the new king, they would have been thrown out of this city forever. Lena was not used to this kind of treatment. She hit one of the men and told him to shut up. Of course, this made him incredibly angry, and now he wants to show her how much he disrespects the old warriors. Perhaps he could have done this if the strongest warrior of humanity in a new guise had not been nearby. He doesn't care that the world has changed. He still won't let anyone offend his friends. In order to calm the situation, Barris had to intervene. If it weren't for her, a real war between generations would have begun. The conflict was over very quickly, and the young soldiers returned to their place of deployment. Lena Vine wants to know if she and this guy have ever met before. It's hard for him to keep quiet because he wants to hug and kiss her, But that could lead to even bigger problems. Barris said that this troubled boy's name is Aang. He lives in a small town and doesn't know the rules of the capital. As soon as Lena heard his name, life seemed to stop. It seemed like she had fallen into the past. After that, she got upset, put on a hood, and said that it was a very problematic name and she didn't want to mention it. Barris tried to stop her, but the guy asked her to calm down. It's better not to touch the old heroes. Soon he would definitely find an opportunity to explain to her everything that had happened, but not today. After that, it was time to rest, because on the second day of their stay in the capital, they had important things to do. The carnival began in the morning in honor of the demon hunting competition. The team from Pacadia City was formed 100%. Aang will take on one of the most difficult roles. When the competition ends, he gets the opportunity to find energy crystals and save his city from destruction. In the City of Blossom, there is a forest competition area, a huge forest made for monster hunting competitions. You could say that this is a city within a city. Such buildings are common in the huge City of Prosperity. Over the past few decades, monster hunting competitions have grown to an extraordinary scale, previously only local competitions. Now, a huge number of people from all over the Empire are gathering here to watch the best warriors. The Pacadia City team was fully assembled. After such a test, they would remain friends forever. They all bow to the scout, because they understand how difficult the ordeal is on his shoulders. It seems as if each of them is mentally saying goodbye to them, which says a lot. The vanguards, that is, the scouts, of the teams are ready to start the battle. They are respected by everyone around them because their mission is extremely dangerous. Anyone who has chosen the path of the avant-garde can already be called a true hero, even regardless of the outcome of the competition. Their mission is to be in the deepest zone of the competition and collect the maximum amount of information for the teams. They must all pay attention to their personal safety, for demons of unknown ranks will await them inside the forest. Almost all participants are second-rate. These competitions have turned into a search for talent and identifying the best. It turned out that one of the 6 great warriors would be the judge at these competitions. Great Warrior of Restoration, 2 Nuclear Warrior of the 7th rank, Fan Dylan. This guy is considered a true legend among the local population. He became one of the strongest members of the new 6 heroes. Everyone around him adores him and greets him at every meeting as if he were a demigod. There are 2 demon cores in his body. Previously, this technology existed only in theory. Everyone around was surprised that this fool wasn't going to bow down. For such an act, you could lose your head. Dylan was also... Aang understood everything. Now Dylan addressed the audience and said that he had prepared something interesting for them. He wished the scouts good luck and said that everything they would see was made for them. In order to catch this demon, a squad of 3 4th-rank warriors had to be sent, so this is a real devil. A rare instance of bloodthirstiness and cruelty arose before the eyes of the audience. This ruthless killer has a 4th-rank metal element with a red core, and he has no idea what's going on. He tried to attack people, causing them to panic, but a protective barrier was set up around him. After that, Dylan began to act, which is why he appeared at these competitions. The protective barrier is also one of humanity's most innovative technological feats. It was installed by one of the Big 6. She has the best illusion skills. Now Dylan can fully demonstrate his high-class technique and power, despite the fact that he is only a healer. The demon tried to strike back, but it was all too weak. These monsters don't have any special intellectual abilities, so they usually attack in a very straightforward and predictable manner. Usually, a green core indicates healing skills, so these warriors generally do not take an attacking position. But that doesn't mean they're weak and can't destroy monsters, so don't underestimate them. Very quickly, this huge demon was completely destroyed, and all this without outside support. The blood of this monster will be the catalyst for the start of the competition. The demon hunt is officially open. Aang noticed the power of these 2 demon cores and realized that these cores add strength to each other. It's not as simple as he thought. Now it's even hard to imagine how powerful a modern king can be. The scouts were invited to the arena, and Aang passed by the modern hero of humanity. Dylan stopped and tried to understand why Aang was acting so defiantly towards him. Aang replied that in this way he tries to stay focused and prepare for difficult challenges. In response, he saw a smile. Dylan said that Aang was a very cool guy and he would root for him. Soon all the scouts gathered in one place and began to tell them the rules of task is to become the eyes of their teams. Considering the strength and skills of their comrades, they must find the best combat route. Each team has time to destroy demons and earn the necessary points. In this forest, you can find not only weak demons, but also real high-ranking monsters. The competition area is huge, so it's best to always stay focused and not relax. Otherwise, you could end up without arms or legs. Every year, the organizers introduce a special condition, and this year, it will be a 4th-rank demon. If this demon is destroyed, the hunt will automatically end, and the one who killed it will immediately become the winner. After these words, the competition began, and he immediately set off in search of the strongest monster. This guy loves challenges. He quickly realized that almost no one was going to look for such a dangerous monster, because everyone had gone in the other direction. They want to pave the way for their teams, but anyone who seeks danger will always be the center of attention. He doesn't even realize that Dylan is watching him very closely, and he orders his assistant to find out more information about Aang. Very quickly, he was told that this guy plays for the team of the city of Pisidia and is registered as a third-rank warrior. Usually, weaker guys become scouts because death awaits them anyway, but this time the Pisidia team chose a rather strong scout. When Dylan learned the guy's name, he almost lost his head with anger. He hates memories of past heroes, especially the name of humanity's greatest warrior. Some scouts had already found the first demons and started marking them for their teams. They do not fight monsters and continue their movement forward because their task is to pave the route, not to destroy monsters. When Aang looks at the scouts trying to outrun each other and win, he immediately remembers himself in the past. His team members are very unhappy with his actions. It seems as if he came for a walk, not to participate in important competitions. Commander Barris, surprisingly, remained calm and didn't even pay attention to it. Probably because she and Aang had a conversation and the guy explained that he wanted to act according to his plan, so it was better to trust him. He assured that the Pisidia would win thanks to his actions, and looked serious when he said it. She became really curious to see what he was capable of, and decided to take a risk and trust this bully. The scouts continued their mission, some even finding themselves in mortal danger. After the scouts saw the monsters, they began to flee. But Aang paid no attention to any of this. He wants to go where he feels the greatest threat and find a fourth-rank demon. So far, he hasn't had much luck, as a third-rank demon with the power of a tree, and a blue core is coming towards him. This giant believes that all people on Earth must die, and a demonic force must take over the world. The local demons are much more cruel than those outside the heyday, all because they are held captive. Aang dodged the first attack very easily, but immediately felt the strength of this monster. He approached its core and used his new weapon to seize the demon's power. It all looked so impressive that you might think the audience was watching a big-budget action movie. People here are not used to seeing scouts destroy third-rank demons with one blow. It's some kind of fantasy. He wielded a golden sword. When the metal element and the weapon merge, its sharpness and destructive properties increase. Dylan had been watching these events all this time, and now he was really interested. The third-rank speed core will help Aang achieve even greater progress and gain additional strength. Soon the elite will enjoy his actions 100%, but for this, we need to work a little more. Now, many are beginning to guess that this guy's goal is a fourth-rank topic. It is located in a large container at the highest point of the forest. Ian will try to find it faster than the others. He did not stop and continued to destroy monsters with great cruelty. He has already managed to improve all his skills, so now third-rank demons do not pose a serious threat to him. He has already killed 5 monsters, but the deeper he goes into the forest, the tougher his opponents become. From the very beginning, he had only planned to explore the area, but the smell of blood arouses him like an aphrodisiac. Only now did he understand why no one wanted to become a spy. By killing monsters, he scored extra points for his team. All the members of his dream team are shocked. He began to search for the highest area of the forest, which is as close as possible to the elite. It is there that sits a member of the legendary 6 warriors, Fan Dylan, whom they had already met before the start of the competition. Soon everyone learned that a scout from the city of Pisidia was heading to a fourth-rank demon. His team members couldn't understand why he was doing this. Did he really want to pave a route past such a dangerous creature? It seemed to everyone that he was just exploring the route, but then it became clear why he had come to this area. Now it is clear that his main target is the fourth-rank demon, although everyone around him is trying to avoid him. Not only the judges but also the audience can't believe their eyes. This guy really wants to commit suicide. He came here not for research but to get his weapon and fight the monster. The lockdown has been lifted and everyone around is going crazy over what he's doing. Starting a battle against a fourth-rank demon without impartial support is absurd. Even crazy people wouldn't do such a thing. Maybe he wants to use his amazing technique against such a powerful enemy. Or maybe he has other ideas. Barris is unhappy that her team member is so overconfident because she doesn't want to see her scout die. Usually, any confidence has a foundation underneath it, but now that foundation is hidden. It will only become apparent during a battle with a fourth-rank demon who has a blue core and wields water chains. This monster has been waiting for release for a long time and is ready to immediately engage 5th gear. The speed of a demon spinning like a tornado is extremely high. Such an attack is always difficult to stop. This monster is sure that no one can stop him on his own, so he wants to tear up this delicious piece of bacon. Surely no one warned him that this self-confident guy was not going to fight alone. Using the illusion technique, he brought with him a support group that would help him at a critical moment. All these demons that he recently killed are now completely under his control. They will fight on his side and follow his every command. That's what true magic is. Barris should be happy. She trusted this guy, and now she doesn't regret her choice. A 4th-rank demon has never fought against other monsters before. This distracts him so much that he completely forgets to look around. As mentioned earlier, you can't lose concentration in these competitions because it can cost you your life. It is unclear for what reason, but Dylan intervened in this battle and attacked the 4th-rank monster. He is very interested in Aang's strength and skills, so he wants to arrange friendly sparring matches. This is the first time he hears of someone being able to control demons. It's a really interesting technique, and there's no doubt that Aang would defeat this 4th-rank demon. That is why he suggests that they fight each other, so that the audience can enjoy the process. There is no doubt that they will like it, because watching the battle of two masters is always interesting. The sparring started very quickly. No one even asked Aang if he was ready for the fight. His opponent's strength and speed are indeed extremely high. If it weren't for his reaction, he would have been dead long ago. This guy was taken into the team of 6 great warriors for a reason. 2 cores make him stronger than most monsters. This doesn't mean that Aang is going to be afraid and retreat. On the contrary, he is starting to like this process even more. For now, he is forced to think only about defense, because he doesn't even have the opportunity to counterattack. His opponent is faster than him, and this leads to serious problems. Dylan also felt the smell of a demon coming from it, which is a very bad sign. If Aang wants to win, he will have to use demonic power because he is too weak right now. Dylan decided to fight this guy after learning his name. He hates memories of the past too much. He doesn't understand that he sacrificed himself for the sake of this world, and sacrificed a huge number of his friends. It seemed to the spectators that this game was coming to an end, and now an experienced warrior would crush the little worm. No one, not even from the true depths of the abyss, can awaken a force that no human can stop. If this power is directed against your enemy, even the defense of an experienced healer will not be able to withstand this attack. This battle of 2 elements will make even blind spectators hold their breath. What these 2 did can be compared to the explosion of an atomic bomb. Aang has awakened his demonic power, and now he wants cruel revenge for the disrespect he has shown him. No one has ever seen ordinary scouts withstand the blows of legendary warriors. But today is a day of surprises. The green healing core gives Dylan many benefits, but that doesn't mean it will make him immortal. Although he can easily kill demons of the highest rank, he has never faced the king of monsters. Dylan demonstrated his strength and delivered an incredibly powerful attack, but at the last moment, something strange happened. An unknown character appeared who activated a protective barrier and saved Aang from this attack. A little later, everyone saw the legendary warrior of the old hero team, Lin, a rank 7 healing core. She saw that Della didn't really like this young guy from the Pisidia team, but she thought he was pretty cute. Lina used her core to bring her body back to training like in ancient times. This girl has always been straightforward and had a fiery character. It's unlikely that anything has changed. Before, he always covered her with his body and saved her life, and never thought that the day would come when they would switch places. We already know Dylan's attitude towards ancient legends. He is dissatisfied and is not going to spare her because of her past merits. He needs to explain that this girl has never been afraid of anyone, so she is not going to change her traditions. She said that this guy is the son of her old friend and she doesn't want this sparring to continue. Unless, of course, Dylan came here to kill an ordinary scout. As soon as he heard these words, he immediately started laughing and said that he was tired of all these word games. He activated the snake attack skill and directed all his energy against his opponents. Such power is difficult to contain even for an experienced warrior. Lina tried to defend herself, but then Aang bypassed her and decided to show his strength as well. At this moment, she thought again about her legendary commander. He also always protected her from any trouble. She approached him and asked to let the lady do the dirty work, because soon, Dylan would use the snake attack again. Like a true wind, she knows how to defend herself against such attacks, so it would be right to entrust her with this opportunity. At that moment, Aang remembered something. He turned to the fans and started shouting loudly. The guy said that he never even dreamed of such an opportunity to gain combat experience and began to thank the authorities for the training. Everyone around was shocked, but no one could understand why he did it. In any case, after these words, Dylan cannot continue the fight. Now his hands are tied. Instead of stopping and continuing to praise the legendary warrior, he said that he would take his example and train even more often. Everything worked out and this plan worked. He wanted to end this battle without casualties, and he succeeded. Dylan said the warrior passed his test and he wishes him all the best in the future. There was no doubt that Aang would have defeated a rank 4 demon, so now the Pisidia was officially the winner of the demon hunting competition. Barris couldn't believe it. They won without even doing anything. This is the greatest monster hunting competition ever. But to Aang, none of this matters. Soon his team was celebrating a victory and he pretended to be celebrating too. They received the title and opportunities and also wrote their name in history in golden letters. In the evening, after celebrating the victory, Aang asked to meet with an old friend. He meant Lin, and finally saw this girl in front of him again. They haven't seen each other for many years, but the girl is still sure that the legendary and strongest warrior in history is standing before her. She told him to meet at a secret location but didn't explain exactly where, and he found her anyway. This happened because they often held their meetings here in the past, which is why now there is no doubt that she met the real Aang. She told him that this was her secret place, and he had no right to forget it. They decided that now they would always meet here, and it would stay between them. More than half a century passed, but nothing had changed, and they met again at this place. Now there is no point in hiding what has become obvious. Aang was ready to tell the whole truth, but Lena started crying and apologizing. She said that she had met her best friend here in the past, and that's why this place reminded her of him. Lena is confused and doesn't understand what to do. These competitions this year are too strange. The girl began to explain that Aang had been acting too impudent today, and at that moment he gave up. He can no longer hide his true core of soul, and is ready to open up despite all the risks. Lena couldn't believe that this was really happening to her. It felt like a dream. Why he had only returned now. Even though 60 years have passed, it feels like it all happened the day after they met. Soon he told her the whole truth and everything that happened to him on the last day of his life, as well as his new story. It's hard to believe, and he doesn't fully understand what's happening either. It all sounds like complete nonsense. In simple words, he was supposed to die, but ended up in a new body with new capabilities and now inside it. Even if all this is true, Lena is glad he's alive because the most important thing is that something terrible is hiding there. It turned out that the city now hates the old heroes, and people's attitudes have changed because of it. And when the battle began, he took his warriors with him and went to the obelisk of Guvan, although everyone tried to stop him because they thought it was madness. He didn't want to listen to anyone and asked to wait no matter what. Only later did people learn that he died along with other warriors in this obelisk. This was a painful blow for all the inhabitants of the empire. Their fighting spirit and faith in the best fell very rapidly. Since the king, humanity's strongest warrior, died, humanity began to lose all hope. After that, the demons launched a large-scale offensive. They recaptured and occupied vast territories and also destroyed a huge number of people. 90% of the soldiers died during this war. Many believe that this might not have happened if Aang had done things differently. A lot of time passed and gradually a new six and a new king emerged. They were among those who disagreed with the decisions, so now they hate him. Those who remained from the past and continued to support Aang became outcasts of society. The new king took away their rank of warriors and deprived them of any privileges. Lena has come to terms with all this. Now it's in the past for her, and it doesn't matter who was right and in what. Sometimes she comes to the statue of the past king, looks at it, and remembers the glorious times. Somehow, he was still able to save his life and survive. It's still hard to believe. Aang is angry, people don't understand, so he went to the obelisk to destroy the demons once and for all. He wanted future generations to be able to live in peace, but people don't understand this, and they can't be blamed either. For many, this whole situation was too difficult, so they needed someone to blame. Some of the king's previous 6 warriors had died, leaving only 3 left, including Lin. Yellow Core was seriously injured and left the city after abandoning his warrior title. From the very beginning, Lena also planned to leave because there were too many memories left here. The Blue Core decided to go against the king, for which his arms and legs were broken and he was left to die in prison. Aang finds it very hard to believe. He doesn't understand why they didn't all unite and oppose the new government. Probably because this king is a real monster. He is the only one in the world who has 3 7th-rank cores, and he is much stronger than his predecessor. It's hard to disagree that the new 6 heroes are also stronger than their past protégés, as they all have 2 cores of power. Aang believes that they can't just give up everything and surrender, they can't leave their friends in prison. Now the demons have changed, and they can control the forces of the elements. Previously, these monsters had only 2 nuclei, but the process of evolution changed them, and they learned to control the forces of nature. Now it is much more difficult for warriors to defeat these monsters, so they try to avoid fighting demons. As we know, Aang has gathered 4 elements in his body. He only lacks the power of the earth. There are now rumors that warriors have access to combinations with the powers of these elements, and this could completely change the course of history. Warriors of the 4th and 5th ranks are separated not only by their level of strength, but also by the ability to possess a fusion core. Once a fortress of fallen warriors began to exhibit the ability to merge, Aang must remember this ancient place. This place is also called the Fortress of Dugor, where a huge battle against demons took place. Now this place is also called the Fortress of Fallen Warriors, because humanity lost a huge number of people in that battle. One day, unusual demons began to emerge from there, and they were all of a fairly high rank. They had a completely different crystal in their chest, so they immediately interested various scientists. With the help of this crystal, warriors can seize the power of the elements. But for this, it is also necessary to have a fairly high level of strength. No one has managed to master all the elements. It is impossible even in theory, because the king and his 6 warriors control only one element. During the sparring in the forest, Dylan did not show all his capabilities. He worries too much about his image. They don't want to admit it. But the new king and his warriors are stronger than them. They have 2 cores, as well as the power of the elements. This is one of the main reasons why Lena was unable to help her friend in prison. And he cannot constantly rely on the power of the demon within him. If he wants to save his comrade, he must become stronger. Now he also needs to go and visit the Fortress of Fallen Warriors. Maybe this will help him make progress. He is confident that he will be able to overcome all obstacles and limitations on the way to his goal. And no one will stop him. A little later, in the city's central pub, he found Barris, who did not stop and continued to celebrate the victory. The girl enjoyed her youth and energy, but now Aang needs her help. He wanted to talk to her about important things, and at that moment he saw very familiar faces in front of him. Soon they too heard his voice. His home team from the city of Hilosi was also here. Within seconds, they were hugging and squeezing him in their arms with incredible force. Something like that is always nice to watch. They thought he was dead for a long time, so they are very happy to see that he is okay and alive and well. They also said that the problem with the power crystals had been solved, and their city was not in danger. Barris decided not to disturb her old friends and returned to the pub to have a few strong drinks. Lan approached the boy and said that he should talk to Situ Liu, because since the moment they separated, the girl had eaten almost nothing. She looks sad all the time and hardly speaks. Is she really in love with Aang? Now they need to talk, because maybe that's why they met. The guy approached his captain and apologized for making her worry. She replied that it was right to kill him for such an act, but she was ready to forgive him if he would not leave his team again. Lena watched all these events from a rather inconspicuous place. She looked at these young warriors who reminded her of the past and smiled. Let's move to a scary fortress located around a real monster cemetery. Aang is seriously injured. If it weren't for Situ Liu's support, he wouldn't have been able to get out of here on his own. The girl tried to support him and begged him not to lose consciousness, because he could die from blood loss. The guy became too weak and dropped the elemental crystal that should help the warrior master the power. At that moment, a monster appeared above their heads and immediately began attacking the weak warriors. They both fell to the ground and Situ Liu began to apologize to Aang. She apologized for not being able to save him and for being too weak. It seemed that inevitable death awaited them, and it was at this moment that she opened her eyes. It turned out that it was all just a dream, a nightmare that makes your heart beat at maximum speed. Everything seemed incredibly real. Situ Liu woke up and felt herself sweating from fear, so she better take a shower. At that moment, Aang kicked down the door. He heard a scream and immediately ran to the rescue. He was immediately made to understand that he had seen something unnecessary, so it was better to close the door. That's how it sometimes happens. You want to save a girl from monsters, and instead they hit you in the face with a pillow. A little later, they left a hotel in one of the Class C cities, and she likes it when he calls her captain. She said it makes her feel more important. They have a long journey ahead of them, because they want to get to the Fortress of the Fallen Warriors, which they can do by evening if they hurry. Upon arrival at the fortress, the city guards will check their strength, so you need to mentally prepare for this. This fortress is a strategically important point, so a large wall was built around it, guarded by a huge number of soldiers. The captain is not at all afraid to go with Aang. She was worried about him and decided to keep him company. Of course, the girl says that she didn't go there for him, but for the experience and progress. Classic. Most likely, Aang already understands everything, especially after seeing the tears of joy on Situ Liu's face. She doesn't like it when he smiles like that. It gives the impression that he knows about her feelings. They covered most of the way fairly quickly and reached their destination. This is the Fortress of the Fallen Warriors of Dugor, the main gate, the area where the warriors are checked. Everyone around them didn't take them very kindly because they thought this couple in love had lost their way. There are enough experienced warriors here who don't like it when newcomers come to such a dangerous place. Only incredibly strong and gifted warriors can enter this fortress, and to do so, they must pass a test. Here you can find real monsters in human form who have already mastered the power of the elements. One of these warriors was hired by a young master from the Miller family, a representative of the city of rank A lawyer. This guy advised Situlu not to go to such a dangerous place, but rather to become his new girlfriend. In response, she ordered him to immediately shut up because she did not give him the right to talk to her. This aristocrat is not used to this kind of attitude. Usually, he only hears the word yes in response. That's why he got incredibly angry, forgot about his nurse, and got ready to show this girl who's boss. She understands that she is not the strongest warrior, but even considering this girl knows no fear. She has a duty to put this pervert in his place, even if it costs her dearly. Fortunately, she always has a strong and confident man by her side who is ready to protect her from any crazy fools. Ang intervened and stopped Miller's attack with one hand. At this moment, a warrior from the Miller family approached them, and he was in no hurry to fight Ang. He believes it would be wrong to start a fight here, especially considering that everyone who comes to this fortress has extraordinary strength. The main goal is to get into the fortress, and inside this place you can already arrange a fight to her death. After that, the conversation was over. The battle was postponed until a later date, but it would have been interesting to watch. Aang asked the captain to hurry up. He was confident that they would be able to pass the fortress guard's test. Few people noticed this, but as the great warrior passed by Aang, he activated the power of the earth element. Aang felt nothing at all. This was made possible by the use of the element gold, which strengthens the skin. Usually, such hidden attacks can cause a person to suffer seriously, but Aang didn't even pay attention to it, and greatly surprised his opponent. Even then, it became clear that this guy was quite strong and talented. Now he could become the main competitor for the Miller family and their warriors. It was decided to choose the perfect opportunity and attack Aang and his captain, but only after entering the fortress. A little later, our main character came to the guards and began checking the synchronization. This is a standard procedure upon entry. They were also asked standard questions. The female guard wants to know why they came to this fortress. Obviously, the main goal will be to obtain the fusion core. But you need to understand that there are very serious demons inside that can prevent this. Aang assured that he and his girlfriend would be able to protect themselves even from the strongest enemies. They were confident in their own abilities. It should be noted that throughout the history of this fortress, no warrior below the 5th rank has ever entered it. There are no entry restrictions here, but Aang and Situlu are the weakest pair of warriors to enter the middle in history. In order to get the desired core, you will have to destroy a very strong demon, and also do not forget about competition. After a few minutes, the guards let these 2 young warriors inside. It is rumored that places where a large number of corpses lie make people afraid from the beginning. But Situlu is too calm today. Maybe she is always calm when Aang is next to her. In any case, the girl is also sure that everything will work out between them. Thus, they found themselves in the middle of the fortress of the fallen warriors of Dugor, a legendary place. Here you can find very strong demons from which you can obtain a fusion core, which is why warriors from all over the world come here. This place is so filled with demons that even a second of loss of concentration can cost your life. Although it is called a fortress, it is actually a city that is no different in scale from the capital of the empire. Dugora is located in the center of the mainland. It used to be very beautiful here, but after the invasion of demons, everything changed. Later, the city began to be called a fortress. Everything around was taken over by demons and people decided to leave this area. Now it's time to end the conversation and start taking action. They need to find the demon with the elemental crystal, and also avoid unnecessary competition. In such a place, the main thing is not to waste all your strength before the main battle. You need to act wisely. There are a huge number of selfish bastards around. The people they met at the entrance to the fortress are not the only ones on this list. Now we need to forget about our kindness for a while, for the sake of our own safety. As soon as Aang said these words, he immediately felt the breath of a great demon behind him. This is exactly what I meant when I talked about minimal loss of concentration. Aang was very lucky to dodge the attack, after which he immediately saved his captain from the demon. This is a 5th rank demon with a blue yandere. He possesses the power of water and can attack without any sound. Few can sense its approach. Aang is one of the few who has succeeded. Situlu said that they must destroy this monster very quickly, but it is unlikely that it will be that easy. This monster has made great progress since birth and has mastered the technique of silent attack. He prepared to cut these children into 1,000,000 pieces and make them into a delicious hamburger. It seemed that nothing would stop him, but then he saw the power of the elements, a golden tree. And he's also learned some tricks over the years, so he's not going to back down. As soon as he felt the perfect moment to attack, he immediately reached for his sword and began to act. The guy was so fast that even a 5th-rank demon didn't have time to react to his approach. It was at this moment that Situ Liu delivered her sneaky blow from behind. Girls are not required to behave like gentlemen. She pushed the monster towards death, literally, and Aang did everything flawlessly. All that remained was to take the demonic core. That was the easiest thing to do. Thus, they destroyed a fairly strong opponent, and it is already noticeable how well they work as a team. They have certainly attracted a lot of attention, and now they must consider any risks. If they had been more experienced, they would have found a safe place immediately, but now it could cost them their lives. If it weren't for his extraordinary reflexes and speed, Aang would have been dead by now, but he managed to defend himself from the blow from behind in time. No, it's not an ugly, horrible monster, it's the same man who works for the Miller family. This giant is called Gold. He is a warrior of that rank who has a red core and the element of earth. As soon as Situ Lubov saw that her boyfriend was in danger, she immediately activated all her skills and began to attack. She was ready to destroy Gold, but at that moment she was grabbed by the Miller family nurse Jessica. She immediately used a special paralysis technique, after which Situ Liu could no longer move even her little finger. Now it's clear who exactly attacked them, but maybe they didn't come to kill, but to talk. Soon, Aang noticed the approach of the main member of the enemy gang. Miller was already nearby. He has long wanted to get his hands on Situ Liu. Perhaps this is the main motive for the attack. The guy thanked his nurse for her help and promised to reward her generously. Then he walked over to Situ Liu and took her chin as if he wanted to kiss her. He said that now this girl would enjoy the death of her friend, and then he would enjoy her. She became interested in him after she refused to become his girlfriend, probably because he doesn't understand who she really is. Gold doesn't like it when owner Eula Miller comes out of hiding. It's always dangerous, even if their opponents are so weak. Aang began to get noticeably nervous. He didn't like it when his captain was insulted, and now he was going to take cruel revenge. In response, Eula Miller just laughed. He said that he was not going to respect Aang, and he was also not going to respect his new girlfriend. Gold knows that the young master of the Miller clan is a spoiled child. In fact, Eula is an ordinary weakling, but his parents are very influential people. Eula never fought with worthy opponents. If Gold hadn't received a large amount of money from his father, he wouldn't have defended such a fool. Aang has no time for idle talk. He came here for the fusion core, and is ready to destroy anyone who stands in his way. Gold quickly realized that the situation was getting out of his control, so he was also ready to intervene. Now the young master of the Miller family is on the verge of death, so we will see how strong he is in a real fight. Out of fear, he immediately fell to the ground and began to beg Aang to calm down and not come near him. He immediately felt that death was approaching him, and this was close to the truth. Gold also demonstrated amazing speed skills and caught up with his opponent to stop him with his axe. Although he looked quite powerful and strong, like the Hulk, Aang easily repelled his attack. All of this was made possible by the power of fire he received from the demon in the subway. This made Gold take an interest in his opponent. He hadn't fought anyone worthy of himself in a long time. This great man can control the element of earth with the help of a stone axe, so he will definitely return for revenge. He was already preparing to attack this young warrior, but Aang had another ace up his sleeve. We all remember his skill in illusion and controlling demons. Now is the perfect chance to use this power. The demon instantly approached him and took his main weapon. Gold didn't even feel it approaching. Only special warriors are capable of that. This demon's water form may seem like child's play, but it is actually a very powerful element. The experienced warrior did not understand why only he was being attacked. Only after looking at Aang did he begin to guess what was happening. Like everyone else, he couldn't believe that an ordinary young guy could control demons. It felt like he was playing with them on a PlayStation. Very quickly, Gold created stone protection for his body. No wonder a large number of guilds want to get him on their team. After that, he immediately called his axe for help. Perhaps Thor's brother was fighting before our eyes. It was truly impressive because with just the power of thought, he was able to make the axe attack the demon. Meanwhile, Aang continued to control his illusions. With the help of his energy, the demon could be even stronger than he was during his lifetime. Now, to win, you need to use the entire available arsenal of combat techniques. It may take a lot of strength, but if we don't kill these fools now, they will soon cause even more trouble. Eula Miller ordered his assistant to also take part in the battle. She must protect him like a true lady. He warned that if even one hair fell from his head, he would not pay his guards a single cent. Fear probably makes you forget about everything in the world, which is why Eula completely forgot about Sita Liu. This girl only needs a second to find the perfect moment to attack. Now it's her turn to paralyze Jessica. The deed was done very quickly. Now it was time to take revenge on the fool with red hair. He deserves to be severely punished. perhaps even having to have some part of his body cut off. Eula Miller is unworthy of being called a warrior. He is an ordinary spoiled son of wealthy parents. Nothing more, nothing less. Everyone around him thinks that he has never had any difficult moments in his life, but in reality this is not entirely true. His father hired the strongest warriors to pump energy into his son's core. It was incredibly painful, but it gave good results. To go to this fortress, his father spent a large amount of money on security for his son, all so that he could obtain the elemental crystal. It was the perfect plan, but Aang and Stu Liu stood in his way, and he wasn't about to give up his dream on them. Eula took out a knife and prepared to slaughter the girl like a pig. He probably overestimated his capabilities. This girl can easily destroy several high-ranking monsters, not to mention some pathetic worm. She eats people like him for breakfast, because this fool doesn't even know how to manage his own energy. At this moment, Situ Liu remembered a conversation with Captain Dan, when he talked about how the core's energy could get out of control. You should stay away from such warriors, they are too unpredictable. So there is a possibility of getting seriously injured. At such moments, you must try to regain control of the core in the usual way, otherwise you can die from the explosion. Such an ending would be perfect for such an ill-mannered boy. At least that's what Situ Liu decided. And since childhood, his father trained him. His attacks were no stronger than the 5th rank, but too unpredictable. In comparison, this battle looks too easy. Miller is unlikely to be able to surprise her with anything. She just needs to find a gap in his defense and leave him no chance. Her father always said that if an opponent doesn't know how to use their power, then they don't have that power. Eula lost control of his core much faster than expected. At any moment, he could explode like a bomb. The protective barrier should withstand this blow, at least she hopes so. Eula Miller started screaming like a madman and soon exploded. This is what happens to those who cannot control their own strength. The protective barrier was able to withstand the attack, and Situ Liu survived, but everything around was seriously damaged. She thought she was able to protect herself, but in reality her barrier was not the only protection her body had. Aang appeared before her. He activated the protection of the golden tree, and congratulated her on her victory over the warrior. Although the girl was slightly injured, at that moment she didn't pay attention to it because she was looking at her hero. Then they remembered Gold. You can't relax with this guy because he's too dangerous. Even when it seems like you've sent him to hell, he can come back and show off all his talents. Now he has no one left to protect. Eula Miller has been torn to shreds, and now Gold is unemployed. Because of Yule's murder, he may have problems with the warrior killers, a secret mercenary organization made up of lone warriors who work to order. According to rumors, all organizations have a 7th rank warrior, but in order to hire him for service, you will have to pay a huge amount of money. Hunger suggested they disperse and forget about the conflict. He didn't want to fight with sick-headed people who were using a core that was weaker than their own strength. Aang agreed. There was no point in this battle anymore. Now Gold didn't have to protect anyone, so there was no reason to fight. Finally, Gold wants to know why Aang is hunting for the elemental crystal, considering that he already has the power of the element. The guy decided not to say that he wanted to try to join several forces together. If you collect all these elements in one body and connect them using a crystal, you can get a very interesting result. He must become stronger to save his friend in the prison of Blossom City. He must no longer rely on the powers of the demon within him, for soon he will have to fight the king and his heroes. Aang said goodbye to the famous warrior, Secret. In the morning, Aang woke up Situ Liu and told her that they had to set off. It turned out that he hadn't slept at all, and now he could smell demonic power nearby. It seems to him that they have finally found their main target and now they must get him first. As soon as he felt the approach of success, he immediately became incredibly happy, although the most difficult test lay ahead of them. He is so happy because in his past life he fought a huge number of monsters, but he never met the owner of the elemental fusion crystal. From the moment this demon appeared nearby, he began to feel its presence, as if he had found his own brother. Aang will have high competition for this demon, as many other warriors also want to obtain this crystal. You will have to jump into the abyss, towards death, and risk your own life to receive such a valuable reward. They found themselves at the very bottom of an underground cave, and now they must find the monster that lives there. When Aang opened his eyes, he saw something beautiful in front of him. He asked Situ Liu to get off him, and immediately felt ashamed of that moment. It turned out that a large city was hidden underground. No one knew about it before. Very quickly they were able to find the desired 5th rank demon with an elemental crystal. We need to destroy it, and get the crystal before other warriors come here. Otherwise a real massacre will begin here. Aang said he was counting on his captain's help, and wanted her to do something. He told her about energy management, even though she had never heard anything like it before. After the strategy was drawn up, Aang immediately began to act. the main task falling squarely on his shoulders. There were many warriors in this area who could sense the power of this demon. You need to kill him as quickly as possible. The demon smiled when he realized that his hiding place had been found. He had been waiting for the guests for a long time and had prepared a delicious dinner for them. Surely the guests will not be very pleased when they find out that they will be roasted and served at the festive table. Such is the reality of the underworld. In order to win, you will have to balance the energy of different elements, and only then use several elements at once. This battle is a pleasure to watch. When several elements fight, it feels like this is a completely different level of confrontation. Ang warned Situ Liu that he might change during the battle and asked her not to worry, as this was his new ability. She has to remember that he's the same guy as before. But when he gets horns, it'll be hard to believe. Fighting an elemental demon cannot be an easy task, especially if this monster has already learned to use its strengths. He easily repairs his wounds with the power of wood, then attacks with golden metal. At the right moment when Ang gave the signal, Situ Liu prepared to make her contribution to the overall victory. He told her about a special technique and asked her to gather all the power of her core and try to feel it. She must feel the energy flowing in her heart and then try to give it form. But that is easier said than done. This form must be used to make a weapon and then used against the monster. Now a lot will depend on this attack. This blow was fantastic. It pierced through the monster's defense. As Ang expected, Situ Liu was able to draw a huge amount of energy from her core, as well as deliver a powerful blow to the monster. Now, restoration using the tree element is impossible. The only thing left to do is to take the element core. Within a few seconds it was in Ang's hands. The deed was done. The demon still can't understand why he can't restore his body. Usually there were never any problems with this. The body begins to give up its own strength. Now we need to make sure they are safe and sound. Leaving this city without any injuries would be ideal. Ang thanked his assistant for her help and said that she was indeed very talented. At first, Situ Liu was speechless, but then she became a little cheeky again and told Ang not to say anything. She had to use up almost all her energy, but she feels fine and can even walk on her own. It seemed that now he could rest, but at that moment Ang felt something very strange in his body. It hurt incredibly, much like the process of synchronizing with the core. He couldn't understand what was happening. It felt like all his insides were trying to come out. His body probably couldn't handle the strain because he was quite weak from the start and too often asked the demonic force to help him. He asked the girl to take the crystal and run away immediately, but she replied that they would go. On the contrary, the situation is very similar to what happened in her dream. Soon, other warriors appeared, happy to have found their target. When Situ Liu saw 6 5th-rank warriors, she realized that she and Ang were in mortal danger. These warriors immediately saw the elemental crystal that Ang held in his hand. Now it will be difficult to break away from them. They immediately prepared for decisive action, because it was for this crystal that they had come here. Ang asked the girl to take the crystal in her hands because it was this stone that was the main goal of these warriors. They won't let them go alive, so he'll have to fight no matter what. As a true warrior, Ang must fight to the last drop of blood and the last beat of his heart. He understands that it will not be easy at all. His demonic power cannot awaken because his body cannot withstand it. It was at this moment that Situ Liu remembered her dream. Everything that was happening now was very similar to what she had dreamed. The guy of her dreams is in mortal danger, and it is completely unclear where to look for a way out of this situation. She must immediately come up with a rescue plan. Otherwise, they will both remain in this territory forever. Meanwhile, Ang realized that his body could only withstand a minute of intense combat, so he must use that time to destroy all enemies. They had never felt such an aura in their lives. It seemed that only terrible demons could be so strong. Ang immediately showed them who was the boss in the house. He wasn't going to waste a single second talking. The first opponent was destroyed. All that remained was to kill his clones, because this is his main strength. Ang has more than 50 seconds left, and he has already managed to destroy a large number of opponents. He continued to kill no matter what. The demonic force within him always thirsts for blood. Soon, other members of the opposing team began to attack him. These guys know how to work as one. In order to defend against their first and most powerful attack, a huge barrier will have to be opened. Otherwise, Ang's body will not be able to withstand the blow. In order to break through this barrier, they will expend a large amount of energy, and then it will be easier to fight them. But this is no ordinary barrier. It can absorb the opponent's energy and transfer this power to its owner. After that, enemies will be hit by something like an explosion of pure energy. And if they are near the barrier, they can be seriously injured. This battle was seen not only by the demons around, but also by the warriors who were many miles away. They all ran towards these events because they realized that there might be an elemental crystal there. Soon, Ang had exhausted all his resources and came to a complete standstill. He did everything he could and defended himself with Situ Liu, but now he has no energy at all. The girl took him in her arms again and realized that she needed to get out of here immediately. Everything begins to happen just like during her dream. Perhaps soon they will encounter a demon. She decided to go into the nearest building to hide from her pursuers. Events unfold identically to her dream, and soon Aang drops an elemental crystal onto the ground. The main thing is to remember what happened next in order to find an opportunity for protection. Situ Liu knew that they would be waiting for them. The demons would choose the perfect opportunity to attack the wounded people. As soon as this happens, you must immediately flee and hope for the Lord's help. Even with all the knowledge of this day, she still couldn't escape her own fate. The demon caught up with the girl and seriously injured her. Now they will both become easy prey for these monsters. They came here because they felt Aang's incredible aura. They want to taste it to understand what it's made of. Situ Liu tried with all her strength to get up and protect her friend, but with such an injury, it was difficult to even breathe. Soon the monster hit the girl in the stomach with all his strength. He definitely doesn't know how to handle girls. If she were fully healthy, she would be able to protect herself and Aang, but now she has no chance. Sometimes, in moments like these when it seems like all is lost, a chance for salvation appears. A portal from the abyss was opened, and Queen He, one of the 6 supreme demons who controls space and time, emerged from it. She cares too much about her king, so she couldn't stand it and broke all his rules. This body is unable to withstand the strength of her beloved husband. Sooner or later it had to happen, and finally it reached its limit. Now it's clear why King Chi chose this guy, because he has incredible willpower. After that, the queen approached Situ Liu. This girl's energy deviations seem very familiar to the queen. This girl is also stronger than you might think at first glance, but she is only human and cannot fully awaken her power. The king may have said that the boy should not be helped, but this problem can be solved in a slightly different way. She wants to help Situ Liu evolve so she can save her boyfriend. This brilliant strategy immediately came to her mind. Now all that was left was to put it into practice. To do this, you need to use a 4th rank black core, which has the ability to control space and time. It's amazing that this little girl's body is ready to take on so much energy. It means she has a strong heart. Situ Liu will be able to show his potential, so the queen should not stay here anymore. She opened the portal and activated the time extension, and they returned to their world. After that, Situ Liu was unrecognizable. It seemed as if a real devil had taken possession of her. She took on a 4th rank demonic form, a black and white force that can control space and time. Now no one will have the right to touch her boyfriend, not even the devil's minions. First, let's go and immediately feel its power on ourselves. Now we will have to solve the problem with monster number 2. Activation of the power of space and time, where there is incredible potential for opportunities for its owner. There is no doubt that even after a few years, Situ Liu will still not be able to take full advantage of this power, because there are too many of them. This hellish aura can make any demon lose his mind with fear, especially if it is a medium-class demon. He wanted to attack and kill this girl, but within seconds he was split in half. That's why when they say that the power of space can divide the world, it's no joke. Now the problem with the demons is solved, and we need to make sure that everything is fine with Aang. She gave him the opportunity to absorb the power of the elemental crystal. This should restore his body and energy. Soon, the guards at the exit of the fortress felt the approach of incredible energy. When the gate was opened, they saw that these were not demons at all, but ordinary people, if they could be called ordinary, of course. Situ Liu and Aang, soon this human soul have now lost consciousness. Due to exhaustion, they need to be urgently taken to the infirmary. The guards had never seen anything like it, but now was not the time to try to find answers to all these questions. Queen He was not mistaken when she endowed Situ Liu with extraordinary power. It's a perfect symbiosis. The human body will now be able to show its potential and even use the gift of foresight. To do this, you will have to work hard. And first, you will have to heal all your wounds. When Situ Liu opened her eyes, she quickly realized that she was in the hospital. She had a dream where her wounds had completely healed, but such severe injuries could not recover so quickly. She doesn't remember anything that happened the previous day. It feels like her memories are in a fog. At that moment, she saw Aang next to her. The guy greeted her and said that she had saved him. The guard said that she pulled him to the exit of the fortress, so he should thank her. Usually this mission falls on the shoulders of a man, but this time it was the lady who saved the main character from death. There has been some strange energy between these two for a long time. Maybe someday they will have to accept their feelings for each other. The elemental crystal was not lost, so the main objective of this mission was accomplished. Now we need to find a safe place and test the power of the crystal, because that's exactly what everything was planned for. Aang still doesn't understand what happened in that building, or more specifically what happened to Situ Liu, and it's really confusing to him now. He feels an aura around her that is similar to his own energy, and it is impossible not to pay attention to it. Soon they left the hospital and got into their vehicle. Ang taught Si Tu Liu to look cool too. Now they both look like Hollywood movie heroes. They are looking for a safe place where Aang can calmly concentrate his thoughts and test the power of the crystal. The demon could use all the elements, but in this crystal, he was only interested in the power of the earth. If you combine all the elements and then use this crystal, you can get an interesting result. Situ Liu's father said that you can find halls for rent in cities. They are usually used for training, so this would be the perfect place to test the crystal. So they went to the city of Salamanca, Class B, where trade flourishes in this city. Everything is done in a historical style, but with modern infrastructure. This city is quite popular. You can find a lot of young people and various festivals here. This is a rather rare trading city, which is why there are many strong warriors here who are armed with the latest technology. Salamanca is also called the City of Opportunities, because here you can seriously change your life. In order to buy something, you need to spend combat points, which are the special currency of warriors. Combat points are tied to the warrior's personality. To find out your balance, you need to scan your finger. In the past, there was nothing like this. All goods could be obtained without any money, if you were a talented warrior, of course. Now everything has changed, and as it turns out, Aang is not adapted to this because he has 0 combat points. It's almost impossible to find a 4th-rank warrior with 0 balance in this city, which is why the owner of the training hall was so angry. It turned out that this was not a big problem, because Situ Liu had over 1,000,000 points on his balance. She rented a large training hall and asked the manager to hurry up. It should be explained that her father is a very respected and wealthy man, so she has no problems with money. Soon they went to their gym to try to get stronger. This is necessary in order to rescue your friend from prison and confront the king and his soldiers. The Fortress of Death has already shown that you can't constantly rely on demonic power. You need to develop all your talents. Aang is bound to become stronger, and to do this, he must attract the element of earth and unite all 5 elements. He began to summon the power of the core. It was like meditating in solitude. Meanwhile, Situ Liu went outside to get some fresh air, and memories began to come back to her. She remembered that an unknown power had awakened within her, and she had reached the 4th rank. Now she feels an incredible thirst for battle, and constantly hears someone's whispers. It seems like she has changed, and now a different person lives inside her. We need to understand what kind of power this is and how to control it. She saw that spectacular fights were taking place in the arena, seats were limited, and there were too many people wanting to see it. Warriors of completely different levels participate in these battles, which is why the arena's rating attracts spectators so much. This is a pretty good opportunity to test what she's capable of and become stronger. The girl decided to hide her identity and buy a mask for this. She will become stronger and will never again be a burden to those closest to her. No human or demon will look down on her anymore. Now she is strong, and it is time to show it to the whole world. She soon put her name on the wish list and named herself Raksha, after the legendary female warrior of the Chinese Qing dynasty. She was immediately led inside and shown the way to the arena, and on the way she saw many wounded warriors. She was escorted by a young guy, an assistant manager, and it was immediately obvious that he liked her. He said that currently the strongest male warrior is at the 5th rank, and among women the 4th rank is the maximum. In general, the majority of participants are men, and they fight separately with women because there are too few girls. Raksha suggested that they fight together. It used to be like that, but now men refuse to fight women. Losing is too embarrassing, and winning is not very pleasant, which is why we decided to divide the participants. Soon they reached the entrance to the arena. Now would be the prime time for the Raksha. As soon as the girl took a step forward, she saw how many people had gathered today to watch these gladiator fights. Usually they give a lot of money for victory, but Raksha has no problem with that. Raising the rating can also be considered a reward, but the most important thing is the respect of the audience, for which the warriors are ready to give their lives. This young man fell in love immediately, even though he had not even seen the face of this beauty yet. The audience welcomed the new 4th rank participant. Such warriors are called fresh blood. There haven't been women's fights here for a long time, so this can be called a kind of exotic. Soon a rival appeared. This girl is called a goddess here. She ranks first in the ranking, a cold flower that has not yet known defeat. She even has her own fans, because besides her, there have never been any talented female warriors here. The cold flower greeted her new rival. She was ranked 4th and had a blue core. Raksha is also at rank 4, but she has a black core. This happened after evolution. She wants to test her abilities in real combat conditions, and today she has the perfect opportunity to do so. If a Raksha loses, then according to the terms of the battle, she must remove her mask and show her true face. Soon the eyelashes were started. The cold flower constantly smiled, despite the fact that now the battle would begin not for life, but for death. Her mood changed very quickly after the Raksha hit her in the face. Now you can forget about smiles and courtesies because a cruel and bloody sport has begun. Everyone around was shocked, because usually the cold flower wins in the first 5 seconds of the fight. Something went wrong today, because from the very beginning she was lying on the ground and drooling. Raksha doesn't like it when warriors act like clowns, which is why they start to despise this profession. If you call yourself a warrior, you must be serious and treat your opponents equally seriously. Very quickly, the audience changed their idol. Now they want Raksha's autograph, and no longer remember the name of the past champion. The competition manager has never seen anything like this before. He already understands that a new superstar of the arena has just been born. And Rasha said that all this is not serious. She is not interested in women's sports. She wants to fight with men. The men's arena is incredibly dangerous, but that's exactly what she came here for, because only men can make her show her maximum. In parallel, 2 interesting characters could be found in the central market of Salamanca. A guy in a kimono was carrying a little girl on his shoulders. It seemed like she was his younger sister. The girl said that she wanted to try something delicious, such as tungula, which is fruit covered in sugar syrup. Usually this girl always gets what she wants. It's been that way since her childhood, and nothing has changed now. I just took a piece of tungaloo and wasn't even going to pay, which made the saleswoman angry. Salamanca is not used to this kind of attitude. It is a commercial city, so everyone understands that you have to pay for anything. All the captains and their deputies have already left the city, so there are no extra class guards here. The guy said that they should kill a few warriors to cheer up the people, and only then would they slaughter everyone else. So far, no one knew about the approaching disaster, but a new hero was being welcomed into the men's arena. Raksha refused to fight women and came here to conquer the world of men. It's obvious that fans were going crazy with her confidence. They had a new hero. Soon you will have to prove your confidence in real combat and fight against a 4th-rank warrior. They call him the Iron Razor. And this guy doesn't know how to handle girls at all. You can't kill in these competitions, but this is only a conditional rule and it's best not to rely on it. As soon as the referee allowed the fight to begin, the Iron Fist immediately began active action. He delivered a powerful right blow, but miraculously she managed to dodge. After that, he did not stop and continued to pressurize the fragile girl. Very quickly she felt that the male world was not very happy about her appearance, and no one was waiting for her here. It seemed to the audience that their main character had died because the explosion struck with all its force. He also had no doubts about his victory because that was usually how he won. Only a little later did it become clear that victory was still very far away, because his opponent had warmed up and was ready for the second round. Her father was always right when he said that true potential can only be revealed in a critical situation. Now it was her turn to strike back, a task she accomplished brilliantly. Thanks to the correct blow to the lung area, you can slow down your opponent. He will have difficulty breathing and will be completely paralyzed for a while. Realizing that it was better not to joke with this girl, the Iron Razor prepared his main weapon, the Iron Fist. But even this was not enough to break through the opponent's defense, because now the blood of the devil flows in her. With each new battle, Situlu understands her skills in controlling space and time better. She has already learned to see the near future. The manager, using the latest technology, was able to see the level of synchronization of this girl. From the very beginning, it was about 45%, but during the battle, it began to grow steadily. At that moment, memories of what had happened in the Fortress of Fallen Warriors returned to her. Now she knows what gave her power and is ready to use this demonic energy. The ability to use space may become the most powerful technique in her arsenal. All you have to do is want it, and your opponent will be crushed like a snail. Viewers have never seen such terrifying power. Some even doubt that the Raksha is really a woman. The Iron Lancer had no choice but to admit defeat, otherwise he would be forced to continue his suffering. The fight was over, and the manager officially declared the winner, Raksha, the new superstar of this arena. The audience is delighted. It's been a long time since there were such cool warriors on these lands. The girl asked to bring her the next opponent, and soon a salute began in her honor. Tonight is a real celebration for the arena visitors, but in the meantime, some continue their meditation in solitude. Ang spent a lot of time but made no progress, which is not surprising since it was the first time he had faced such a task. He still lacks the core of the earth to unite all 5 elements in one body. Maybe we should forget about breathing exercises and pay attention to other techniques. Maybe we should turn to demonic forces. He tried to close his eyes and summon his otherworldly aura. If only he didn't want to become stronger, but even now he has to rely on demonic power. This energy is truly powerful. and it seems that Aang doesn't fully understand the possibilities this power opens up. Now he has finally felt the element of the earth and will soon try to completely absorb it. Meanwhile, the brother and sister ate all their sweets and prepared for decisive action. He has been raising her since she had only 2 horns, and now he is sure that she will not let him down. This little girl only seems beautiful and sweet at first glance, but in reality she is a creature of hell. People were enjoying the holiday and the manager was already counting potential profits. Everyone was ready to pay any money to watch the Raksha fight. She had already been christened the Goddess of Light. Now she is fighting against another man. He does not remember that there were such serious rivals among the inhabitants of Salamanca. Black Core is too rare, and her attack style and abilities cause a lot of problems for opponents. In order to defeat her, you must sell your soul to the devil, otherwise ordinary mortals have no chance. Raksha becomes more confident in her abilities with each new battle. Space and time completely obey her wishes. She shortens the distance between herself and her opponent using the power of space, which speeds up her approach to her victim. As soon as she enters close range, she immediately begins to actively attack. No authority can restrain her. No matter who stands in front of her, her actions are the same. This guy turned out to be quite strong. His tornado technique was even able to knock a Rakshasa off his feet. This doesn't mean she's losing this battle, because when you own the space, you own the world. Very quickly, she seized the initiative and seized the opportunity. The battle was over. As soon as the opponent left the arena, he automatically lost, so this is another victory for the Raksha. Finally, it's time to see the battle of the #1 men's rankings. He has fought a large number of battles over the past 6 months and has never tasted defeat. He is called the Lulan Cabo dancer, or simply the harbinger of death. The assistant manager doesn't understand how a girl should fight such a monster. He thinks it's unfair. The manager explained that the younger generation understands little about show business. The main thing is money. He doesn't care who wins this battle. Either way, he will make a huge profit from this show. Finally, she got the opportunity to show herself to the fullest, because the 5th rank will fight against her. Cabo has followed all of her fights and likes her strengths as well. He wants to turn this small and fragile body into minced meat. But the Raksha has completely different plans for tonight. She felt that her new rival was different from the others and immediately realized that she had fallen into real hell. The girl tried to get behind him and attack an unprotected part of his body and immediately missed the counterattack. This guy's actions are very difficult to predict. His experience and fighting skills deserve special attention. He came here to experience real competition, not to fight a vegetable. Cabo doesn't want to hear later that he beat up the disabled man's girlfriend, so he hopes she will continue to fight as before. Now the Raksha wants to use his ability to foresee events and understand what to expect from him. She prepared for his attack, but in reality everything turned out completely differently, and that's the main problem. Usually she could see her opponent's upcoming actions and counterattack easily, but with Cabo it doesn't work. He acts completely differently and forces the audience to close their eyes so as not to watch this brutal beating. Now it is clear that the difference between the 4th and 5th ranks is really big. The warrior woman didn't come here to get 2nd place. She wants victory, so she's ready to use the power of portals. The Cabot likes determined women. The local champion has already forgotten how to defeat worthy opponents. It doesn't matter to him where the Raksha appears from. He will still attack and pressure it until it breaks. The manager was very lucky that the arena was strong enough and ready to withstand even such a fight. When it seemed that the outcome of the battle was almost decided, the Raksha struck back. She was able to knock her opponent off her feet and take a comfortable position for herself. In order to keep up with the Cabo's actions, the girl began to activate the time-stopping skill and slowed it down. The audience was delighted when they saw the girl seize the initiative and immediately began to support her. The assistant manager also hopes that his idol can win, and then he will try to ask her out. The manager handed him the right to manage the fight and decided to do other things. Now we have a new judge, and this guy is ready to do everything possible to make the Raksha win. Meanwhile, the manager was in such a hurry that at first he didn't even notice the little girl's presence. Because of this, he regretted it very much. But now this selfish man can forget about any matters. The battle continued in the arena. The Raksha tasted blood and continued to attack. She wanted to win with a well-aimed and powerful blow, but the Cabo managed to dodge and block the attack. At that moment, the picture in front of the Raksha's face changed. She saw a small demon in the form of a human. The girl began to feel anxious and headed to the other side of the arena. And it became all the same to fight with the Cabo, because an unknown demonic force was approaching. At this point, she offered her rival a temporary friendly agreement. She said that there was a demon somewhere nearby and together they had to stop it and save the people. At first, he either did not believe these words and said that there were no demons in the city of Salamanca. This was his main mistake. You can never underestimate potential problems. The modern world is no longer safe, so you always have to be very, very careful. The 5th rank warrior was torn into several pieces, without the little demon even making much effort. She expected a much more serious confrontation in hopes that the Raksha will be stronger than this guy. What was happening made a great impression on the assistant manager. He immediately wet his pants. The audience still didn't understand what was happening. They probably thought it was all just a show. When they realized that a demon was here, they began to panic and tried to immediately leave the arena. Now, no one will watch the battle of these titans, but this battle is still incredibly interesting. No one in this city has ever seen a demon with 4 horns. Even though she looks like a little girl, her soul is cursed. This is a completely unusual demon. It cannot be compared to the other monsters that Situ Liu fought. Meanwhile, Aang continued the process of absorbing the core's power, at which point he sensed that something strange was happening in the city. He realized that a strong aura had appeared somewhere nearby, which could indicate the presence of a demon. Now it is not advisable for him to be distracted from his task, because if he concentrates, he can take possession of the necessary element of earth. If he can fully master this power, he will unite all 5 elements in his own body. There was a huge crowd of people near the exit from the arena, all of them panicking and trying to escape. The young demon heard all these screams. It brings her real pleasure, like Mozart's music. Her master Ji says that all people bow down to the fear of death, because this fear makes them lose their minds and panic. Demons like Kira, on the other hand, love fear, which is why she considers herself a superior being. Situ Liu understands that she is not a child at all, but a very strong and powerful demon who must be respected. You can't think that this is a child who will be easy to defeat, because in that case, the fate of the Kabo awaits her. Even the ability to control space and time does not guarantee victory over strong opponents. Kira quickly realized that her rival had hidden potential, and this intrigued her. She senses a demonic scent and tries to understand what this earthly creature is capable of. Usually, lower-ranking demons try to eat their enemy in order to achieve evolution. But higher-ranking demons have other ways to achieve this goal. Situ Liu tried to find an opportunity to launch her attack. Otherwise, all these conversations might end badly. She wanted to hit him in the back, but this hit led to an unexpected result. Kira is no longer going to hide her true face, so she has transformed into a form of blue fire. It is unknown how many more secrets this high-level monster has, but in any case, she wants to tear Situ Liu apart. Rumors about finding the demon spread very quickly throughout the city of Salamanca. Soon the warriors set off in search of the monster, angry because there is no experienced captain in the city now. Previously, such problems were constant, but recently they have started to act much more intelligently, and this has led to problems. In order to stabilize the situation, the captains went to clear the area, and therefore they are not in the city now. No one could have imagined that on this very day, Salamanca would be attacked by monsters led by the demon Ji. His student is currently fighting against a 4th-rank warrior in the middle of the central arena. It has already transformed into a form of blue fire, and this could lead to even bigger problems. Kira understands that the power of a demon flows in her rival. In a sense, they can be considered relatives. Through the use of spatial abilities, Situ Liu took her movements to another level. She made great progress, and this gave her the opportunity to lift her opponent high into the air. After that, the perfect plan was to land on Kira and crush all her bones. It seemed that the battle would be over very quickly, as Situ Liu found her opponent's weaknesses. At this moment, the situation began to get out of control. She felt her body begin to go numb. This could be a mental attack from the Purple Core, meaning Kira has taken another step forward in evolution. She has formed a 5th year, and now her abilities are reaching another level with the help of the form of 2 nuclei. Soon, the defenders of the city of Salamanca appeared in the arena. They came to destroy the demon. Maybe they could do it if there were 10 times more of them, but the 3 of them are too weak. When they saw that their opponent had 2 demonic cores, it was too late. Kira only needed to raise his hand to paralyze 3 men in 1 second. After that, she cut them using the power of space. It is now clear that Situ Liu needs immediate support to win this battle. High-level demons can evolve and develop by going through difficult trials. To provide her with the necessary conditions, Master Ji lured out tough rivals from the city in advance. If they all joined forces, she would have serious problems, but now everything is under control. Situ Liu is only at rank 4, but her inner strength can help Kira continue the evolution process. The situation has been out of control for a long time, and it is almost impossible to defeat the demon without outside help. At such a critical moment, she thinks of Aang. He has always protected her from danger. On the other hand, she was also willing to sacrifice her own life for him, so they really are a good team. Kira has wasted a lot of time on empty talk and now wants to suck the life out of her rival. She has trained for a long time for this day and wants to become one of the most talented demons in history. All the important moments of her life flashed before Situlu's face as death approached her. At this moment, Queen He turned to her, saying that she could not help her all the time. She received all these demonic powers, and now she must defend herself from her enemies. How far she can go in mastering the skills of space and time depends only on her. This gave the girl additional strength and motivation to continue fighting, despite the strength of her opponent. Now Kira understands that she is facing an unusual sea warrior. She even began to guess that her rival's strength was obtained from the queen. The demon queen could not betray her species, but then it was unclear why she was helping a human. Situlu also needs to step forward and evolve if she wants to adapt to the changing environment. The second round of this fierce confrontation awaits us, and it promises to be even more intense and heated. Even if Situlu has to risk her own life, she is willing to do anything to kill this demon with 2 cores. The arena has always had incredible fights, but what's happening here tonight is beyond imagination. Master Ji understood what was happening and smiled. He was completely confident in his student. At that moment, the city guards found him and ordered him to leave immediately. They don't yet understand that they are facing a real idea of Monkov, and think that he is an ordinary person who needs to be saved. The master replied that he was just a humble adventurer and did not want to offend anyone. He wanted to show his ID, but instead, he took out a small heart from his pocket, a sign of love and peace. It's not hard to guess what the guard's reaction was, so that doesn't mean they're ready to kill this guy. Perhaps from the very beginning this idea seemed easy, but in reality they were facing a real demon, and killing him would be almost impossible. Only with the power of thought was he able to make them suffer incredibly, and took the lives of the guards. He felt a source of strength in this city and went to the central training complex, which is where Aang is now. Our main character was still trying to concentrate on the important matter and not be distracted by the events in the city. He had made progress and was close to absorbing the earth element, but first he needed to stabilize this stone in his body. Thus, the 5 elements will be collected together. All that remains is to combine them. He had expended an incredible amount of energy on this task, but all that was left was to take the last step and the job would be done. Everything was quiet on the first floor of the training complex. They had not yet heard of the demons approaching. Soon, someone turned on the TV and heard the local news, and that's when the panic began. In the city of Salamanca, people were not used to meeting demons. It seemed impossible. It was at this moment that a tall man in a light-colored robe entered the sports complex. The manager wanted to explain that you can't come here without an invitation, but the demon wouldn't listen to him. Master Ji doesn't like it when someone bothers him. In such moments, he immediately eliminates the threat. Soon the demon climbed to the next floor and began searching for the source of the strange energy. Aang still remained in his room and tried to concentrate all his strength. He was close to achieving progress and uniting the 5 elements within his own body. It was at these moments that a demon passed by the last luxurious room. He felt a source of energy. This force seemed to be calling him to itself. He raised his hand to destroy the door and enter inside. His surprise knew no bounds when this trick didn't work and he saw the hand of another demon. Aang has already managed to sense the enemy's approach and take on demonic form, so now he is in full combat readiness. He doesn't like being disturbed at important moments, and he doesn't like it when someone talks too loudly. Master Ji recognized the legendary king and immediately realized that he was in a critical situation. Ji is a servant of the Purple King. He is one of his main assistants. Sadistic methods and massacre are the very rules that the Demon King established in the past. Now he doesn't really like it and he doesn't want anyone to bother Aang. As it turned out, the boy was still in the room and continuing the process of evolution, and his inner demon was protecting the boy from problems. King Chi said that he could not let go of any unnecessary witnesses to his presence, and therefore he must kill Ji. As soon as the Purple King's assistant heard these words, he immediately began to panic and begged to leave him alive. He promised he wouldn't tell anyone, but the best witness is a dead witness. The king cannot let anyone know of his return, so he must be ruthless. After that, he returned to the room and began to watch as the ant continued to unite the elements in its own body. Usually, human warriors only have one element, so what's happening now can be called something incredible. This is real greed, but it pleases the king because greed is always a sign of ambition. Aang is completely immersed in his own mind. His mentality is very strong towards other people. This guy was not called the strongest warrior of mankind for nothing, so the king was right to choose him. Chi forced himself to go outside in a state of mind. It took a lot of strength. But with this, Aang will get a great progress in his physical abilities. The king was ready to return to the boy's body, but at that moment he felt the approaching danger. The storm was becoming more and more active, and soon he felt lightning approaching. This blow was very powerful. There is no doubt that most of the people in the building died. With the help of a protective barrier, the Demon King was able to defend himself from this blow and was not injured. The most interesting thing is that Aang didn't even use a protective barrier, but he still remained whole and unharmed. Only now did the king realize that this boy wanted not only to master the 5 elements, but also to combine them into one attribute. Previously, this seemed impossible. And of course, it would take a lot of suffering to achieve this, but there is a chance that the guy will succeed. After Aang began to scream in pain, his inner energy burst out. Now it is clear that the king underestimated this young warrior. He not only transforms into a being of high rank, but also unites the elements. Aang summoned white lightning to aid his progress. It was a brilliant decision. Meanwhile, the battle between the 2 demons in the arena continued. These 2 beautiful girls have been unable to decide who is the strongest for over an hour. Situ Liu began to worry that she wouldn't be able to hold the demon back for long. Even if she awakened her power now, her opponent was still too powerful. The captains in the city must receive a message that they need to return, so they need to delay the time as much as possible. This will be difficult to do considering that a 5th-rank demon has 2 cores of power, making it difficult to contain. To do this, you will have to use your entire combat arsenal, including spatial attack and time delay skills. Situ Liu always remembers such difficult moments in her life. Training with her father, he always taught her to be confident. Otherwise, there is no chance of winning. My father said that it was important to keep your distance and watch your movements, as well as constantly look for your opponent's mistakes and weaknesses. So far, it hasn't helped much because Situ Liu injured her right leg and is now having problems. She has no ability to use the power of healing, so with this injury she will be slower to maneuver and will lose her flexibility. Kira is sure that soon other cities will turn into cemeteries. Demons are ready to completely take over the world right now. Even if she can't destroy all the enemies, her teacher Ji can easily destroy the entire city, so Salamanca will be destroyed by morning. She ordered the human warrior to surrender, or death would await her. It must be admitted that now Situ Liu had lost hope of salvation and was ready to accept her end with dignity. It seemed to her that the last moments of her life had come. But the demon's attack, the last moment, was blocked. When she opened her eyes, she saw that the demon who had saved her was standing in front of her. She began to remember past events and guessed that it could be Aang. There is no doubt that it was he who protected her from the attack. This guy was still able to evolve and reach the 5th rank. Now he is in the form of divine thunder and no one can stop him. He returned and greeted his partner, and also thanked the girl for also stopping the demon. Seeing Situ Liu, he guessed that she had also taken a step forward in evolution, so they had both made progress. Situ Liu explained that they were facing a serious enemy, a high-speed demon with 2 cores. Aang replied that he knew about the opponent's strength and was not afraid of her at all because now he was on a completely different level. He's already used to destroying pigs like Cyrus, and today nothing will change. Although she could smell his strange demon scent, she believed he was an ordinary warrior and was ready to destroy him as quickly as possible. To do this, Kira jumped high and activated the power of her inner core. As soon as Situ Liu saw this, she immediately stepped forward to save her partner. Aang immediately explained to her that it was best to calm down and rest if she had any injuries. It's better to leave all the dirty work to the guy, especially if he's already reached rank 5. In this arena, with each passing hour, events became more and more interesting. The audience must have regretted returning home. Aang easily repelled the demon core attack, even though it was pure energy and not easy to stop. When the 5 elements united in his body, he thought he would soon die. He had never felt such pain in his life. At first, the elements repelled each other, but it turned out that this was a mysterious attribute of lightning. Kira understands that now she is facing a worthy opponent, but she is still too self-confident. Now she will do everything possible to make her master proud of her. This will require the use of the Colonel's potential, a very dangerous technique that can lead to unexpected results. On the one hand, you can gain incredible power potential for a short period of time, and on the other hand, you risk exploding like a bomb. Kira jumped and flew high up to attack from the air. Aang had to defend himself. The attacks came one after the other, and he had no chance to strike back. Continuing to defend on the ground will not bring anything good. Aang can transform his wings, but only for a short time. While the boy tried to understand what superpowers Situ Liu had, Kira continued to press with her core energy. Even if a person takes power from a demon, they remain an ordinary person, Kira believes. Now the real massacre will begin. We must immediately come up with a plan to stop this demoness. If there is no plan, it is always better to step back and choose another moment to attack. Kira was sure that victory was already in her pocket, and because of this she did not notice the opening of a spatial portal above her head. She forgot about the extraordinary abilities of her rivals, and she will have to pay dearly for this. She did not see the lightning approaching and was seriously injured. Now her entire body is paralyzed and blood is coming from her mouth. Not at all the ending she was hoping for. It seems like tonight is the night of her death, because the initiative has completely slipped out of her hands. Kira is still sure that Master G will definitely avenge her. He is incredibly powerful and immortal, and he replied that whoever came to fight him, he would kill everyone and do it as brutally as possible. Situ Liu could no longer hold herself back and listen to all this empty chatter. She activated a spatial maneuver and prepared to deliver the final blow to this talkative woman. Ang decided to act with her. As a true team, they must complete this together. Kira could only calmly wait for her own death, because she had no chance of salvation left. The attack turned out to be really powerful. After this, it will be difficult to collect all the bones in a pile. Kira has finally lost her 2 cores. Now she can take them and absorb their energy. In the last seconds of her life, she thought of her master and hoped that he would come and save her. He had been teaching her since childhood and always believed in her talent. It was the master who taught her to enjoy killing and to restrain her emotions. He always hoped that his student would never know what sadness was and would live a happy life. It turned out that on the last day of her life, she still felt these emotions and disgraced her master. After that, the demon's body disappeared, leaving only a void that nothing could fill. Situ Liu gained demon power. Not sure if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but now he'll watch her more closely. And you need to stabilize your wound with healing energy, otherwise it will be difficult to walk. Soon they felt the incredible purple aura of a demon far away, a power that could not be confused with anything else. Situ Liu has smelled similar smells before, but she is certain that the high-ranking warriors who left the city for the mission have already returned. This attack on the city was carefully planned by the demon and her master. They deceived everyone and always acted very wisely. We need to tell the captains about all this. They need to understand that the demons are becoming more and more intelligent, and there are very influential people among them. Humanity's knowledge of demons is still limited to the 7 apostles, and it is completely unclear what their hierarchy is. Even though Kira was still growing, the strength she displayed was already at a high level. With their appearance like this, they'd better get somewhere far away because people might start hunting them. Now they are more similar to each other than ever, so it is unlikely that people will trust creatures that look like demons. It was decided to leave this place and find a safe haven for rest. In the meantime, let's return to the training complex and see what's happening to Master G's body. It seemed that this monster would never return to the world of the living, but it turned out to be much stronger than expected. With the help of incredible abilities, he has learned to rise from the dead, and this gives him a great advantage. Now he knows that the Red King's skills are too powerful. He must tell his lord about it. They need to complete the evolutionary quest quickly and then return home with Kira. The demon looked out at the street and felt that his student's aura had disappeared. There was no doubt that this would be a strong blow to his heart. They better to give this core to a group of researchers. This entire attack was incredibly strange. You can be sure that everything was carefully planned. The arena that became a battlefield is still filled with the incredible energy of demons. The captain cannot understand who fought whom, which demon won and which one died. One of the warriors was returning to the research center and was about to give the broken demon core to a professional. He was walking along a dark street and heard an unknown force calling him to itself. He went there, and his mind was completely taken over by Master G. He ordered him to tell everything that happened in the arena, and soon learned all the nuances of the evening battle. At first, the master thought that his student died because of the Red King, but then he realized that everything was different. If it were a king, the city would have already disappeared, so there's no point in him revealing himself again. He saw the remains of his student's core and tried to figure out who killed her using his skills. This is called soul reading, manipulating the energy of consciousness to enter the core and see the latest happenings with its owner. The less intact the core, the more information you can see. Ji witnessed the last scene of his student's life and saw that Aang had promised to kill anyone who came to fight him. It is incredibly unpleasant for him to see that his Kira felt sadness in the last seconds of her life. He was incredibly angry and felt a burning desire to kill. And this desire could not be satisfied by killing just one person. He will return a little later and tell his master about the return of the Red King, but right now he wants to kill a few more people. Meanwhile, Aang and Situ Liu returned to human form and began the recovery process. This battle has taken too much of their strength, and now Situ Liu cannot heal his wounds on his own. With the help of the tree attribute, Aang was able to help her and immediately heard words of gratitude. No one had ever touched her feet before, especially a guy. But if she were honest, she would admit that she liked it. The primary goal of this journey was to find an elemental crystal that could unite all attributes, and now that task has been accomplished. We need to continue our journey in order to gather the complete information they need. No one knows the secret of Aang's rebirth, and Situ Liu is no exception, although there is a person who knows about it. Pan wants to meet with the king and his warriors in order to return his comrade to normal life, and he wonders if Situ Liu will support him in this. Speaking globally, it doesn't matter. Maybe it would even be better for him to act separately. When the girl heard that Aang wanted to go alone, she was very upset. He explained that they would first return together to have a little chat with the captain of the highest Hall of Fame. Her injury is fully recovered, but the muscle realignment will cause pain for some time. Let's see what happened 3 days later in the city of Jilochi, a Class C city. The main team of our main characters was bored and spent almost all their time at the training complex. They are not having any fun here and are waiting for their friends and captain to return. You need to constantly train to keep up with the progress of others, but it's too boring because you always want adventures. Soon they heard a familiar voice saying that they should always train harder. Looking more closely, they saw their captain Situ Liu at the door. They had never been so happy to see her. They immediately ran to greet her and asked where Aang was now. The girl said that now he went to the captain of the Hall of Supreme Glory to ask to cancel his status as a warrior in the city of Haloka. The third captain of the city of Halosi, Dan, could not believe that he was actually hearing this with his own ears. He doesn't understand what's happening and why this brazen guy is asking to revoke his warrior status. First Captain Joel also doesn't understand anything. Aang has been absent for quite some time, and now he says he is not suitable to protect this city. The guy explained that he was grateful to everyone for their support, but did not want to involve the captains in his future plans. This could lead to problems, so he wants to keep his distance even though it seems strange. Of course, he can't tell them the truth, that he is actually Aang reincarnated, and that he wants to destroy the king and his 6 defenders. That's why he asked us to trust him no matter what, even though we understood that it would be difficult to do so. The captains worry that if this guy gets into serious trouble, they will be to blame, so the decision is quite difficult. Of course, Dan trusts this guy, but he can only agree to this if he defeats all 3 captains. This guy is very strong right now, but the captains are also incredibly experienced and powerful. He is ready to give them the opportunity to attack simultaneously, because he understands that his evolution is now at the highest level. On the way back to the city of Hilochi, a conversation took place between Aang and Situ Liu. The guy said that he wants to do something forbidden at this time. It concerns his past. He wants to challenge powerful forces to save his old friend, and he doesn't want to drag anyone into the process. His comrades are too weak to help him in this important matter, so he doesn't even want to ask them. Situ Liu told the other team members about this conversation, and they were upset because they realized that she was a burden to her friend. From the moment they met, he was always worried about his friends and was ready to give his own life for them. If he wants to do something, it means he has reasons for it, and you should trust him no matter what. Of course, it's unpleasant to feel like you're not considered strong and can't be relied on, but that's the reality. In any case, it would be wrong to abandon each other to their fate, especially considering that they have not yet had a full-fledged mission together. Lian and Sui Ju want to show that they can be counted on and ask the captain to give them one last chance to prove themselves. This is how a team should behave. Be together and trust each other. Soon, Liu agreed with these arguments. They have no right to be left alone. That's why it was decided to go in search of this hooligan and tell him that they would act together. Meanwhile, he became quite impudent and met the captains on the battlefield. They are experienced Halosi guards, and it is wrong to underestimate their senior captains. This incredible trio is confident that they can bring this guy down from heaven to earth and show him his true place. If he really wants to give up his status as a warrior in this city, he must accept this test with dignity. The captains finished their monologue and immediately began attacking the arrogant guy. This triple blow was very powerful, but it was hardly enough to break through Aang's defense. He has made incredible progress recently, and now he is not afraid of any captain. He assured me that he was no longer the same small and weak boy. Now he was a real man. Within seconds, he demonstrated his strength and powerfully struck each of the captains. After that, it's time to activate the wood element and calm these warriors down a bit. They thought they would easily bring him down from heaven to earth, but instead, they got a completely different result. Now Joel understood that this boy had demonic power. He had felt it from the very beginning. Aang is no longer going to hide his true nature, but he doesn't want to hurt the captain, but on the contrary, he wants to clarify the situation. Soon he let them go and started a conversation, telling them about his visit to the Fortress of Fallen Warriors. There he found a crystal of elements and purified it, with the help of which he became the owner of incredible power. The guy did not hide that Situ Liu also received similar abilities, and her appearance changes in the same way during battle. Situ Liu is currently ranked 4th, although she has only just started training. In human form, Aang is at the 5th rank level, but he is much stronger when using demonic energy. The captains find it hard to believe. They have heard about the elemental crystal, but they never even suspected that this crystal gave such power. Captain Dan said he was proud of his students and glad they were able to find opportunities for progress. At that moment, he remembered what had happened many years ago, when a small wave of demons attacked the city of Hilosi. These monsters took his younger brother, and when he found him, his brother was already dead. After that, he vowed to become a warrior strong enough to protect those around him. The stronger the fighter, the more responsibility he has. Aang must understand this. Now it's clear why when the young warriors were captured by a demon, the captain was so nervous and tried to save their lives no matter what. He was afraid of a repeat of the past, but now he is no longer worried. But on the contrary, he is proud of his student. He is willing to let him give up his title as a warrior of the city and give him the opportunity to do whatever he wants. Aang was incredibly happy to hear these words and bowed low to the captain. Soon, Aang left the city and set off to meet new adventures. Dada can't believe this happened. She still remembers how weak he was at the very beginning and thinks he's still not ready. Joel replied that he should trust the younger generation, and this guy reminds him of the greatest warrior in human history. Perhaps with his future achievements, he will even be able to surpass the heroes of the past. Next, he wants to reach at least rank 6, because that's the only way to achieve his goal. There is a devil's cave nearby that you can explore. If you collect more demon cores, it will help you increase your level. It seemed like he had closed the container, but it turned out that someone was there. He soon realized that he was not alone in this car. His entire team was nearby. Situ Liu told them everything, and now they are very angry with their friend. Soon the car stopped to have an important and serious conversation. The captain said that she had an obligation to listen to the other team members, which is why she made this decision. She started yelling at Aang and wanted to say that she didn't want to lose him, but then stopped herself in time. After that, the girl made a serious expression on her face and said that she didn't want the team to fall apart. Suiju did not betray herself and continued to take photos. Giving them a chance to help is a pretty good idea. They soon learned of his true plan to rescue his friend in prison. When they know the truth, they should understand that this plan is illegal, so he doesn't want them to go along with it. It was surprising to learn that they were, on the contrary, happy about the opportunity to destroy the king. Plan said that the residents of his hometown always believed in a true king. Situ Liu's grandfather, Situ Kaiser, was one of the heroes who knew the great heroes of the past. It was under the leadership of the past king that the Kaiser and his comrades managed to found and build the city. That's why Situ Liu is sure that supporting the destruction of the new king is the right idea. Aang finally understood why her last name seemed so familiar to him. Now everything fell into place. That great hero is her grandfather. The most interesting thing is that in a past life, Aang fought with him against an army of monsters. When Kaiser first saw Aang, he was incredibly nervous and looked at him like a child looking at a favorite toy. He is ready to give them the opportunity to help in this matter, but right now they are too weak, so they need to be shown to someone. They soon met Lin, a 7th rank warrior with a green core, a member of the old 6 heroes. When they saw such a legendary figure in front of them, they couldn't even move. Suiju said she was ready to take 1,000,000 photos of Lin. This girl would never change. They agreed to practice a little together, and Lina also noticed that her friend had absorbed the fusion core. Of course, his body is not as strong as before, but the progress is truly impressive and it should be noted. To her, he is the same Aang as in his past life. His soul has not changed at all. Aang said he intends to make even more progress and expects the same from his comrades. To begin with, they must reach rank 5. Otherwise, they have no chance of surviving future battles. Previously, these warriors could not even dream of the 5th rank, but now they have a clear goal for progress. This will be a tough challenge for their coach, but Lina is used to difficulties. The gates of the city of Aurora were opened, and Aang left to meet the adventure. He left his comrades for training with Lin. If he can find more elemental nuclei, it will lead to unexpected results. With his progress, King Chi also became stronger and immediately thanked the boy. With the help of Aang's absorption of the elemental crystal, part of the king's soul was restored. Unfortunately, this is not enough. He spent a lot of energy during his last race, so he needs additional energy. The king decided not to tell what happened while Aang was absorbing the power of the elements. Some things had to be kept secret. A little later, he said that Aang would not be able to find the crystals he needed, but the king could help with this problem. The guy got angry and said that such information should have been said earlier. The king began to talk about the battle with Cyrus, which had 2 inner cores. This already makes it clear that the king is not completely restricted from the outside world when he is inside Aang. If Kira were a little stronger, the guy would be able to get the Unity Crystal, and this is a very serious thing. This crystal is much more effective than the Elemental Crystal, We can even talk about it separately. Everyone already knows that ordinary demons evolve. To do this, they absorb other monsters. Demons who have reached a high level increase their power by fusing a rare core. The guy is trying to help his friends become stronger, but uniting the right core can speed up their progress. To do this, you need to find a 6th rank demon with 2 energy cores. Only they have a unity crystal in their body. It seems that King Chi is ready to betray his own demonic race. With the exception of a few kings, the other demons are chaotic products of ancient obelisks. Humans will never be able to understand them. Don't underestimate the Monster King. He won't even look at a normal demon core. The king reminded that he is inside Aang, and the boy is inside his heart. They are one in this life. He's willing to let the guy develop because the stronger Aang, the stronger the king. It's a symbiosis. We should not doubt each other's good intentions, but on the contrary, we should learn to trust and support each other. Chai is incredibly strong. He is ready to make Aang suffer with just one hand. Soon, they agreed to cooperate and decided to ask where such a powerful demon could be found. Although it's dangerous to go there, Anu is already used to risking his own life. That is why the decision was made to go in search of a 6th rank demon with a dual core. Their journey took many hours, but they reached their destination at night. It takes a lot of strength for the king to appear in the real world. He will not appear until Aang finds the Unity Crystal. The king also said that one should not share the power of the crystal with friends, because they will be overwhelmed by the energy and they will die. Finally, Aang asked to change his appearance so that no one could recognize him. He would also like to get a good weapon. Although the sword he has is quite good, but he wants to get something more serious. The king agreed to help the boy. They still do a joint job. After that, he entered Aang's body and gave him a sword, and immediately noticeable changes appeared on the boy's face. Now this gives him extra confidence, and he is already looking forward to the battle in the City of Prosperity. Let's move to the northwestern corner of the city of Roskvit, where foreign warriors are invited in the morning. They are invited to help in the operation to clear the territory. The main thing is to have a sufficient level and desire. Various people sign up for this mission. When it comes to demons, numbers are very important. The tiered witcher, Captain Ran, met the volunteers and said that he was responsible for this purge. If such a serious person is involved in killing monsters, then the situation is really quite difficult. According to rumors, Captain Ran once single-handedly destroyed a 5th rank monster and cut off the head of a 4th rank demon. This week, the team responsible for reconnaissance disappeared in the forest. None of the 6 crew members returned home. The leader of the group is a warrior with a 5th rank core. He is a close friend of his comrade. All the others are also very technical and talented warriors. Nothing like this has happened to them in all these years, but judging by their latest messages, they have been attacked by very strong demons. Even the possibility of an attack by a higher demon cannot be ruled out. In any case, there is a threat to transport around the city of Aurora. The captain cannot leave the city without the main forces, so he will have to ask for help from other warriors. Warriors must be willing to give their own lives for the sake of humanity, and Captain Ran is a great example of this behavior. They agreed to gather the team and return before sunset. The team included a large number of talented warriors, all of whom voluntarily decided to help the city. People saw them off as true heroes, and it should be noted that these warriors truly deserve it. They set off to distant lands in search of a reconnaissance group, and a difficult test awaits them. As soon as they left the city, they immediately attracted the attention of several demons. Some were unlucky and were cut in half by a huge and dangerous demon. This monster was underground and waiting for the perfect moment to attack. Such monsters are called sand demons. This is a unique species that lives in the desert. They like to hide underground and ambush people who pass by. Also, these demons often join together in groups and attack as a real team. Cunning creatures. The main thing is not to panic, unite and fight side by side. In this case, it will be easy to defeat these demons because they do not have extraordinary powers or 2 cores. Aang also got down to business right away and showed off his strength. This guy is in a great mood today. He is not afraid of any monsters and happily goes towards danger, which is exactly how he was in his past life, even without the power of a demon. Soon all the dirty work was done, the area cleared of sand demons. Aang even managed to not only kill a large number of monsters but also save several people. After that, he went in a different direction. They tried to force him to stay, but he didn't listen to anyone. He said that it would be easier for him to act alone, and he did not want to involve other warriors in his affairs. Thus, the team split from Aang and went in a completely different direction. A little later, they saw something interesting. A large plume of smoke caught their attention. The experienced Witcher ordered everyone to get ready and not lose concentration. Now, they can't be ambushed again. As they got closer, they saw a guy in front of them who had been a member of their team before. Captain Ran had already mentally come to terms with the death of this warrior. which is why he was surprised to see that Aang was still alive. He immediately saw that he was covered in monster blood, and an incredible murderous aura could be felt around him. All the sand demons around were destroyed. Not even a living spot was left on them. Even the captain would have had a hard time destroying so many monsters without support. So he immediately realized how talented this guy was. Aang replied that he was just a great runner and tried not to take any risks. He was just lucky. Thus they reunited and went together. Now the team is fully staffed. The map showed only 2 entrances to this forest, but they found another way. The number of people in their team was calculated for 2 entrances. The captain wanted to split up in order to explore the maximum number of territories. They can't afford to form a 3rd team. It's very dangerous to deviate from the original plan. The problem is that if the reconnaissance group finds itself in the 3rd entrance, then there will be no one to help it. I'm sure everyone has already guessed who decided to take the 3rd path. It was Aang. He took a confident step forward and said that he could explore the area on his own. The territory of this forest is huge. If not divided, it will be difficult to find a group of researchers. If he can explore the 3rd path, he will have time to do it before sunset and return to the city with the others. The captain felt that these words made sense and asked everyone to be quiet. He needed to make an important decision. For him, the main thing is to find his friends, the scouts who have lost their way, and he is ready to make any sacrifices for this. That's why he agreed to Aang's offer, but warned that no one would help the guy if he was in danger. Thus, their paths diverged again, which is probably exactly what Aang wanted. Soon, he broke away from the group and already felt the approaching danger. In this forest, all you have to do is look away for a second and you'll be attacked by some crazy creature. Now our main character can no longer be surprised by insidious attacks from behind. He is ready for anything. Now, as soon as he killed the first monster, his assistants immediately appeared around him. And soon, it would be a lot of fun. In a forest this size, they all move in groups and of course decided to get a taste of this lone warrior. In fact, Aang decided to go alone in order not to hide his true demonic nature, and now he has that opportunity. He will kill these monsters no matter what, and there is no doubt that he will get incredible pleasure from it. Meanwhile, another group of warriors continued their exploration. Even during the day, it is too dark in this forest, and it scares them. Some are already convinced that the Lone Ranger is long dead, and staying alive without support in such a place is almost impossible. They approached a large tree and saw a man kneeling with his back to them. They soon recognized the shape of the scout group and realized that this was one of the people they were looking for. The leader of this group immediately approached this guy to help him get up. At first, he didn't even notice that no one would help this scout anymore because he had turned into dinner for a demon. Thus, they encountered a 6th rank monster that has energy cores and now they need help.